Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode 117.
Ow!
I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames,
Caitlin,
Jake,
Carl.
Yay! Carl!
Carl's here.
Welcome back, Carl.
Carl's
Thank
been
you.
here before.
Thanks for having me.
Today we will be covering The Inner Light
Ooh.
and both parts of Time's Arrow.
Thank
So
you,
we
Ames.
are finishing up season 5, starting season 6.
And off to a shit start, if I might
And
add.
our best ofs are going to be this
Yeah.
this
Woo!
episode.
I wrote mine ahead of time,
You're
fellas.
so cool.
No.
In The Inner Light, often considered the best episode of TNG ever,
So far, I
Captain Picard gets shot in the face by a probe, and it makes him think he's Kamen, a scientist on the world of Catan in the village of Resic. We cut periodically back to the Enterprise crew being like, what's going on with the captain? And when they try to disconnect him, he nearly kaputs it and things like that. You know, it's really, we didn't need to keep seeing that, but we did.
He lives a great long life
Yeah.
in Resic,
And-
and it's great.
Then, at the end, the people come to him and they're like, please tell our story. And
This
it's
has been an interactive time capsule. We love you.
pretty much. And it's,
to
it's...
create your own adventure life.
Yeah, and it's,
It's just life.
he very, at first he's all kind of like, I'm Captain Picard, what is all this? But then, we do a time skip and he's like, I guess this is actually my life. And
I do live here.
he, slowly realizes the planet is dying 3 or 4 different ways.
And he doesn't hate kids.
I know, it's weird.
It's so bizarre.
But yeah, that's kind of the whole thing, really. He learns to play the flute. It's a good episode. It's
Beautiful. I love it.
easy to
Solid.
describe, though.
Very good.
True.
Time's Arrow, meanwhile.
No, Time's Arrow can be described really, really easily.
Garbage.
That's true. So, some scientists...
Sorry, Jake. I think I stole your review.
Some scientists find Data's head in a cave, and instead of telling the Enterprise ahead of time, they're all like, "Hey,
Ahead
guys!"
of time?
They're
Were
very
they?
rude.
Were
Fuck,
they?
I wish that had been on purpose.
Were they Vulcans?
Seriously.
You know,
But
they
it was
couldn't.
great. It was
they
great how that was
wanted
the last thing that they showed them in the cave.
Yeah.
It was like,
Well, you know why? Because they wanted them to face it head on, Chris.
Hey!
Hey!
Yeah, I feel like, Jake, you've moaned about this before, about how, so often in Star Trek, it's like, sir, come to the bridge, please. Just tell me what's going on.
yeah.
So anyway, they're like, oh, fuck, Data's head has apparently been in this cave since
93.
There we go.
Was it really?
Yes.
And they're like, we gotta figure this out. Why did this happen? And they're like, oh, there's some very unique kind of radiation in this cave, and somehow this leads them to this shitty
Traumatrons.
little
No, that was a different episode.
abandoned
Close
world
enough.
Yeah.
where,
Time shit.
time shit is
Wasn't
happening.
it was, you know what it was? It was, chemtrails.
Yeah.
That's what it
Right,
was.
chemtrails.
And Data's
Son
like,
of a bitch. The government did it.
God.
and they're like, okay, we think we can get someone to phase in with them. And everyone, meanwhile, is being very, panicky, don't let Data hurt
Oh, yeah.
himself.
And everybody's already talking about Data like he's dead, and he notices it, and it's...
And Data,
Sad.
honestly, it's weird, seems kind of excited by the prospect that he's gonna die.
It's because it makes him more like a human.
I know.
That was an interesting conversation, but we'll get to that.
But,
Yeah.
so, of course, the only person with a sensitive enough doohickey is Data, so he phase shifts.
Yeah,
and
who
he's,
saw that coming?
He's describing to them what's happening, and then, oh noes, something happens, and Mr. Data has some fucking Marty McFly adventures in San Francisco,
Mr. Data's
1893.
wild ride.
With some famous friends.
Yeah,
for no fucking reason.
He wins a vest off a Gul Dukat and a hat off of a Native American, and he keeps them for the rest of his time in Frisco on his coat rack, which
More
I enjoyed.
importantly, he wins all the money.
He wins all the money.
And gets his communicator
He
back.
buys himself some sweet clothes. Eventually, the rest of the crew follow him back. Even Picard goes, because Guinan's all like, you should probably go on this away mission. Wink. And Picard's like, this is weird. Because, of course, turns out Guinan was chilling out on Earth in 1893, hosting Salon with Mark Twain, who's there.
Well, she was acting his ass off.
Who? Mark
Twain.
Oh.
I feel like that might have been what Mark Twain did, though. Overdoing it in public.
Time was.
So, what's happening is these aliens with the time shift apparently need, human energies to survive.
Neuroenergy.
Yes. So
There
they
is
go-
no substitute.
Yes. So they go back in time during, epidemics and plagues and shit.
Makes you wonder how many people really died from the Black Plague and how much of it was just... the Black Death.
These
Black
aliens,
Plague.
yeah. They stop them. They go... They go back to the present. They're able to fix Data because they put his 500-year-old head back on his body, which accidentally jumps forward.
The fucking fresh head back.
They left the fresh head there.
No, but they had the opportunity to.
No, because then let's not get into that. We're gonna be here all day with
paradox.
Yeah. Guys, the whole fucking episode was like a grandfather paradox and a grandmother paradox and your fucking fifth cousin paradox. Every kind of paradox.
Yes.
Dinan is her own aunt.
Yes. So anyway,
and I'm my own grandfather.
Short version: everybody winds up back in their appropriate time. Data's not actually dead.
But with the wrong head.
But remember when you missed the part where he invented rock and roll by playing Johnny B. Good at the school dance.
And then was like, you guys just aren't ready for it yet.
Yeah. Good thing Chuck Berry's cousin was there.
Ten women fainted.
Time's Arrow. It's like a really weird Doctor Who.
It's a really weird way to cliffhang a season. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck? Yeah, you're right.
I'll get to that.
Because later.
Because I have reasons. I actually know there is some backstory to that. But Inner Light is a much, much better
Is the
conversation.
Backstory like a writer's strike?
Well, you want it now?
No, I'm just asking. Am I right? Is it a writer's strike?
It
okay,
is not
great. That's all I wanted to know.
So, Inner Light.
Inner Light is perfect.
It's super.
It's the perfect episode.
It's not perfect. You know what's not perfect? I got the one thing that's not perfect.
What is it?
The fuck did they leave him on the fucking floor of the bridge?
That's true. I did think of that.
Fucking just teleport him.
I don't think they wanted to move him. I think they were afraid that because
they weren't sure what exactly.
I know, and I came up with the same explanation myself.
Because I thought
the real reason they did it was because they wanted everybody on the bridge to be near him. There was no reason for it.
I just wanted to see that medical lounger that we brought out once. I think in The Enemy to drag somebody over to sickbay with, but no, we never.
Or they
see
could
that
have just
again.
brought in a cot. Anything. I just think that it was a little... Anyway, that's my only complaint.
That's a small, very small
I have two little nitpicks. Then we can get on to...
Yeah, you're right. Let's just get the nitpicks
lavishing
out.
praise.
This is good.
One, it does seem a little weird that this society, whose technological level was very vague as it was, but didn't seem too advanced, could build this thing.
Well, we never saw the big city.
That's true.
The big city that ambassador, whatever
administrator or something.
The administrator.
The climate.
Yeah, but they were like just starting to go out into space. So.
Yeah, but he'd already learned that their son was going to Nova like years before and was keeping it from people. So I'm sure they had more than they let people know about.
Like
quite the government always has something that the civvies don't know about.
And I feel like
LSD.
The episode did slightly overegg the planet is doomed thing. Because at first it was like, oh, it's a drought. It's like, all right, so the drought's killed them. Oh, wait, the soil's dead. Wait, so there's a drought and the soil. Oh, God, the sun went Nova. Hold on a minute. Oh, God, our ozone layer's gone. Wait, what just happened? Which one killed them?
Well, they're all cause and effects of each other, really.
Well, I was gonna say I figured the soil was bad because there was no water.
No, I think what was going on was that the sun was heating up in anticipation of blowing up. So it started as a drought as all the water was being evaporated.
Well, yeah,
and then the soil died off.
Because of
and
the
it's
sun.
important to stretch before you do any major athletics. So naturally, before you go supernova, you want to do some leg stretches.
Yeah, windmills.
Because you notice, like at the end, by the
4
end,
minute shoulders. You gotta get ready.
They couldn't go outside without protection on because the sun was so bright they would have just burnt up.
Yeah, I like that detail a lot.
Well, and also that felt very like, I remember when I was a kid in the 90s, and there were all those ads about how we're not gonna have an ozone one day, and I remember this specifically, there was this one on Nickelodeon, where it was like, hi, I'm from 2005 or something like that. I'm gonna go out and play now, and the kid has to get into like a hazmat suit, and he goes out in a hazmat suit with a basketball. So
I'm sure that was about the ozone layer and not nuclear winter.
Like this is exactly one thing. This made me very nostalgic for the time when people just didn't want to deal with global warming instead of actively pretending it was like a house by China or something. They had the respect to not pretend it was a hoax from China.
Yeah. So, but yes, nitpicking. Anyone else have nitpicks?
I don't think What else?
Well, I think we just debunked your nitpick, so
That's
I don't think you didn't even have a valid nitpick.
I don't have a nitpick, but I'm sort of curious what people thought about Resic Society a bit, because it was really I thought it was really neat how much they could build with so little. Like it's basically, it looked to me like a kind of like a Los Angeles apartment with an unusually dirt floor, like an apartment complex. But I wish that they had sort of done a little bit more alien stuff. Like not like far out alien, but like if TNG had a writer like Ursula Le Guin or something on the writing staff, like someone from the social
a little bit more world building.
Yeah, a little bit more world
building.
It's
basically like any small village.
Yeah.
I noticed that the lamps that they all have around, I have the same lamp in the hall over there. Like all of the lights on the lighting in Resic.
Oh, I didn't know.
They're just from IKEA?
It's all the Home Depot special.
Nice.
That must be parallel planet development.
Yes.
I mean, I prefer that to fucking...
Bread and circuses?
Yes.
Is that the one with the Jesus?
Yes.
Okay, well, the one with the Jesus.
That Jesus.
Yeah, like, overall, I liked it. I just don't know what to say beyond, wow, this had some good acting.
It had great acting. The makeup, the old age makeup, was way better than any other time.
I have to say, when the administrator was old,
Yeah.
it was like old Biff.
Yeah, I was about to say that. He was a little... It was kind of in order. It was like, Stewart's was the best, then the wife, then the administrator, like you said, Jake, a little old Biff.
I need to see a picture of him, because I thought he looked like somebody when he was old. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, he kind of did. You're right.
I just can't remember who it was.
But yes, I'm glad they seem to have improved their old age makeup skills since Pulaski.
Oh yeah.
And
she was already like an older woman.
Ames, you probably would know this if it's true. Was Cayman's son
Patrick Stewart's son? Yes, he was.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, neat.
It was very cute.
Yeah,
like young Bataille.
He looks exactly like Patrick Stewart. So
he looked like a really shitty Fred Armisen. That's who he looked like.
Yeah, I can see that.
That was my opinion.
Fred Armisen has to be in every TV show.
So here's the thing, right? So the idea in the world of the simulation, say, is that the plan the Catanians, whatever.
They're from Catan.
Catan.
It's one or the other, but it's the board game.
The Catanese would say.
The Catanese, I like that.
Meow.
So their plan was that
knowing that they're doomed,
that this probe would go out, it would find a person in space, zap them, play them through the simulation, and then shut down and be just deactivated. And the only other information they included about their society was a flute that only the person that got zapped would have. That's a terrible plan to preserve your...
It did seem weird they didn't also leave a hard drive,
or like the Pioneer plaque. I don't fucking know. Something, the Golden Record. I don't know. Something that's going to...
Well, at least have it be replayable or something.
Yeah.
Because what if they actually had disconnected Picard and he had died?
Died.
Obviously they couldn't have foreseen that would be...
Or what happens if the probe happens to run into, I don't know...
Klingons?
The Klingons. Someone that's not going to take its shit.
The Pac-Leds, who will be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
See, very different episode if it had zapped Worf instead.
The amount of luck it took for this probe to run into Jean-Luc Picard of all people is amazing.
Well, it's a funny thing about this show. Everything seems to find Jean-Luc Picard.
That's true.
Wild.
Yeah, the thing is, you look at Picard, and he's been Cayman, he's been Locutus. He has the most fucked up identity crisis of any person on the ship. Troy will not be able to handle him in therapy.
Well, and
I was
gonna say, how would that be different?
But he should have just breakdowns daily.
Well, and I liked
from all the personalities he has.
I really liked, though, that they dealt with him being like, yeah, it's really hard for me now, after that 25 minutes I was asleep, Jesus fucking Christ, to remember that this is actually my life. When he was back in his room and, kind of looking around and stuff, and I actually really liked that.
Yeah, he's gonna look at Livingston and be like, I remember you vaguely. What do I feed? When do I feed you?
Livingston's like, I'm your wife.
These aliens are assholes. Because they psychologically torture somebody.
Yeah.
They they gaslight him into thinking that, no, you just had a fever dream. That whole other life, you just had a fever. Oh, and you don't have any of your memories from before the fever? Oh, well.
Weird fever.
Well, we'll just, you're here now, so let's make babies.
It is. It certainly falls apart under analysis a bit.
I don't think it does.
I think it's. I mean, what I like about it is like when they say let's preserve our culture. They're not like let's make a display. No. We're gonna make someone come out from the outer planets and live with us.
Yeah, because if you look
decades.
at it, like we can study ancient Egypt all we fucking like and be like, oh, I think this is what happened. I think this is what life was like.
Yep.
You're not gonna know unless you've lived it.
That's true.
And this is what they've
done.
done.
There's a difference between they could have made a VR game. They had the technology to make a VR game that was known to the user that I'm just gonna go. Like a holodeck program.
Did they? Did they have that tech? Because
Well,
what
that's
happens?
what
You
they
wouldn't have
made,
the right
right?
adapter for your TV.
That's basically
the
what
problem,
they
is
made,
you
right?
have to-
Only they did the whole. They had to include the psychological torture element of it.
Oh, it wasn't torture. He was very happy.
Jake is playing devil's advocate.
No,
He's like,
I do think that I like everything about this episode. Except I don't like
the resolution.
I just don't like the aliens. I think they're jerks.
No, I love them so much. Like
Except
literally,
the administrator, what an asshole.
Like Jake can attest that I was weeping during the last moments of this.
I was also getting a
when I
little-
was doing my research and I just read the synopsis online. I cried.
Now, going back to
No.
just one last thought. So going back to the idea of it being like the Klingons, if they had run into a Klingon, would the aliens in the simulation have appeared Klingon? Because they all appeared human.
That's a good point. We guess we
Maybe
don't
that's
really
not
know
what they
what
look
they
like.
look like.
Because I assume they appeared human because Picard is a human.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna settle into a marriage with some sort of salt vampire.
And the simulation knew enough to make Picard's
So
son
you can make it
look
look like Q.
he could be Picard's son because they just got Picard's son to do it.
See, it's funny you picked that up because I'm sitting there looking like, is this like Brent Spiner's kind of funny looking cousin?
I didn't think he looked like any of them, so I
It was the nose.
Yeah.
Was
It's that Stewart nose.
He did all right.
And then also, like, okay, say you get the Klingon. Does the Klingon just... Because I'm sure the Klingon isn't going to, like, come back home after the first night and be like, well, I guess, I'm here now. I'm sure the Klingon would just murder everybody in that town.
Jesus Christ.
I'm the best Iron Weaver.
Well,
Here's the best iron!
I almost wonder a little bit if the probe is kind of exacting about who it picks.
It could be. Yeah.
Like that's what I kind of assume. And here's the other thing: like I know there was they were planning a sequel to this episode that got dropped.
Oh no!
But
Don't
that's
probably
no
for the best.
sequel. Don't
But
ever.
there is a sequel comic to this episode called The Outer Light. It's interesting. It's hard to tell if it does the episode justice, but it is interesting in its concept. And I'll spoil just a little bit. I'll share this on the Facebook because it's a nice story to read.
Oh, it's free to read?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All the images are online somewhere. I don't know if it's legally online, but I found it very, very easily.
And you didn't put it up, so who cares?
Yep.
Got it.
But yeah, spoiling it a little bit. So they come across a sleeper ship in space, and the answer is after they had sent the probe, they also found a way to send a sleeper ship into space. Not even knowing that someone would find the probe. And Picard says, "I have to go meet these people," and I'll leave it there, and I'll let people go read the comic on their own.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
So
So wait,
Carl,
so
yeah,
you
that's-
know what they actually look like then?
They look like the people in the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek does have that sort of rule where, like,
Yeah.
aliens are just kind of like us, so
Yeah,
more
people.
awkward.
Yeah. The one thing I'm
But,
bad. I'm
Depending.
Depending.
I have some fucking awkward people.
yeah. I'm bad at comics.
Present company excluded, of
I had to
course.
read the comic twice because sometimes in like panel to panel the art was in such a way that I couldn't tell what character was which. And it took me a while to realize, oh, that's someone we met in a previous page. I'm dumb.
So, Carl, you
Well,
had
you know-
something, though?
Oh yeah, and I think the TV reason though too is, and the reason we like it is what it does to Picard and allows him to have the life that he gave up with. His view of the home life and of kind of personal relationships is kind of dark anyway, but it's nice how we get to, when he's put in this situation, we find that he has ways of being useful and productive. He's the same Picard. What's he going to do if you take away his ship? Well, he's going to find out what is bothering your planet and try to fix it.
Yeah, he's a natural leader.
Yeah, and a natural explorer, and that is not incompatible with having wife and kids.
He winds up on the council.
on the council.
Well, it's interesting that he becomes like a botanist also, like because we know like as a ship's captain he has a lot of like historical interest and archaeological interest. So it's interesting to see like when he's not up in the stars, he's got like more arts, but also.
Well, it's also the issue affecting the planet is botanical. It seems at first, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it's true.
So of course he's gonna.
And he built a telescope and
a sextant. He had a cute little sextant. I was like, stop. I loved it.
Yeah, this is a very good episode.
I want that necklace. I know they sell versions of it online that are all various levels of good to cheap.
I'm sure Roddenberry.com has a super overpriced
They
version
do.
made out of tin.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, I bet you could get a better one on Etsy for less.
I believe the actual flute was sold for something like 6 figures.
No, it was. I wrote this down. It's unplayable. It's not a playable flute because they dubbed the noise in later.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
The prop flute was auctioned off for $48,000.
Damn.
They did not expect it to go that high. I think they originally said, "Oh yeah, we expect like maybe $2,000 or whatever they said," and then it went for way more because they didn't realize. Oh right, all the sentimental value. Neat. And Carl missed this because Carl was running a little late today, but I played the orchestral suite of the flute song to Chris and Caitlin and Jake earlier.
Gorgeous.
That they made for the
It's really beautiful.
30th anniversary?
That's what you said,
I think
yeah.
it was that.
Well,
yeah, so
that would make
I'll
sense.
share that on the Facebook
Wait,
too, 'cause
30th?
it's so
Wait a minute.
pretty.
What year was it? 91?
I don't know.
So...
Well, the 30th of
Oh,
episode of the
Star
series.
Trek.
Of this,
part of
the
series.
series.
So, yeah, just looking up The Inner Light without any other modifiers on Etsy. I've already got 3 different versions of the necklace and a copy of the flute.
Yeah.
All of them well under...
48 grand.
Yeah, there's
$2 grand at most.
There's a $33, a $55, and a $103 version of the necklace.
Let's
There's
see.
a $69 flute.
Does it play?
That's a sexy
Is
don't
it a
know.
playable flute, though?
I do not know.
I know they specifically picked the...
Yes, and also they show you how to play Frere Jacques on it.
The type of flute that you play downward instead of outward so that it wouldn't block the character's face.
Does
There's
that make it a
only-
recorder style, technically?
There's another name for it. I just didn't write down what it was.
Gotcha.
There's only one left, kids. Hurry.
Let me see. I want to see. I want to see all the things.
Picard likes Frere
I
Jacques,
like
doesn't he?
shopping.
He does.
Yeah,
It's
I
because
do
he's
like-
French,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, French is a
coming
dead
back.
It's
language.
the only song that is in France.
I do like, though, that... Yeah, I remember thinking that. It's like, oh, Frere Jacques.
His
That
wasn't
makes
even
sense.
gold, was it? I thought his was like silvery.
But I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Picard,
Oh, yeah, I'd wear that.
Me too.
the age progression was confusing me a little.
He got younger and then old. No, I'm joking.
Well, yeah, but
He slowly turned into a Larry David
because
Scrooge McDuck
his
hybrid.
wife started out looking a lot younger than him. But
Like
then,
in real dot time.
but then kind of aged up to him.
Well, because she was sick, so maybe that aged her
Oh, maybe yeah.
somewhat.
I kind of figured that him looking like himself at first was just... I imagine the person he was meant to be was probably younger. But it's like, all right, whoever this finds, it's going to be a stretch enough. They'll start off looking like themselves regardless. That was kind of how I figured. Because, yeah, it seemed...
I think it's confidence to a degree. Like, I think for a few years he was a crank. And then he was like, you know what, I'm going to do with this. I'm
I'm gonna do
build a
this
nursery.
role playing game.
Yeah. And then he got, I think he looked younger as a result of that. And then he got old again.
The kids warmed down.
It was the
Yeah.
poofiness of his hair after
Yeah.
Yeah.
when we
that-
came back
that
to
kind of
visit
dark
it.
brown hair.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
final instance we see, he just looks creepy.
Yeah.
Supposedly, this was the earliest makeup call they've ever had in Star Trek for Picard, for Patrick Stewart.
Oh,
No, in general. The earliest makeup call they've had for an actor was for Picard. It was a 1 a.m. makeup call.
Ugh,
Fucking A.
that coffee. And you know, the old age makeup was great, but like for my money, like the best acting in this is just after he wakes up.
Yeah, he's like looking
25
around.
minutes, and his voice gets quiet.
Yeah, and he looks
And
at
then
Crusher
Riker's
and he
voice gets
realizes,
quiet. Yeah,
you're Beverly. Cool, I remember that one.
and he's like,
Don't know
aloof.
you.
Yeah, Dr. Crusher, and he scowls a bit, kind of like he used to do more in season 1, like when he was kind of mad at everybody, and then all the time.
Especially the fucking children.
He's like, oh god, the boy's not here, is he?
Yeah.
He's at the academy, Jean-Luc. Oh, that's right. Good.
Yeah, but does he like kids now?
Are we plowing?
No, I don't think... I think Jean-Luc Picard maybe would be more willing to have his own kids now. But no, he doesn't like kids. He's one of those people who would only ever like his own children.
Well, yeah, I was going to say
So
that's...
By that.
Yeah.
He seemed to like, what's his name? His nephew.
Oh.
Renee.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
blood. He'll tolerate
Yeah.
blood, and that's about it.
Like Klingons do.
Plus, he knows, Renee was kind of should maybe be in Starfleet, so
Yeah.
it's like, all right.
And he's like, you have to live with your dad. It's a
Yeah,
real
you know
piece
what
of
would
work.
really piss off your dad is if you joined Starfleet. Let me just work on this relationship a
Yeah.
little.
Just keep...
And even on Catan, he's like, his son wants to quit the academy, and it's like going to be a big deal. And his daughter is a scientist, and he's like, I can get into this. It's always like he is always the he relates to the wayward child to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one lament that I would have is that unlike, even to an extent with Best of Both Worlds, he has this major life-changing experience, essentially living out an entire lifetime, and will never have any side effect, never any...
Does it ever come up?
Wait a
I
minute.
feel like it comes
Doesn't
up in
the
a
little
future
flute come up
episode.
on-
I mean, we might
sometimes.
see the flute
But
again,
But he did have side effects from the Best of Both
Well, I
Worlds.
know he had one. There was like one episode, and then every now and again they touch on it, and then.
But
and then,
also
like, Hugh...
First Contact.
Well, sure,
We haven't gotten there yet, though.
but
Well, I know, but I'm saying that it's not
Even-
like he never does.
Yeah,
it
in
plays
I-
a huge role in that film.
comes up
that's
a
why
lot
I said.
in
That's why I said
Iborg.
to an extent.
That's true.
Best of Both Worlds, but you're missing my point. My point is that this episode doesn't have any long-term consequences.
Apparently,
Well,
there's
I'll
a
have to
non-canonical comic we can read.
That's true, and I'll have to see in future episodes because I feel like it gets referenced at some point, but I might be making this up.
It totally gets referenced. It is such a hard thing to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
Really.
Maybe they just memory wiped him. They pulled a Pulaski maneuver,
Maybe.
stuffed him
Not.
full of crumpets, and then memory wiped him.
Because
memories in your
from
tongue.
from just an emotional standpoint, I mean, he's lost 2 children, a grandchild, a wife,
His friend Bataille.
his friend Bataille. He's just like
And a whole planet! A whole
and like
planet!
everybody he's ever known, he's lost all of them.
Yeah.
And that's never he's got to have like a punch card at 10 forward to talk with Guinan.
That's why he and Guinan are such good friends.
I will
true.
say, though, he's probably like, wow, this is intense. And then the first time he gets to use his future bathroom again, he's like, oh, yeah, this is nice. Okay, I'm good.
This is way better than
Oh, wait a
shitting in
minute.
the hole that I had to dig in my backyard.
We have holodecks. I'm gonna go play some Dixon Hill. Woo!
Oh, we have holodecks. I could just program Resic into a hologram.
Or that,
Oh,
I guess.
that'd be so nice.
That'd be really
Yeah.
cute.
I
Kinda
wonder
dark.
if they couldn't like
Ooh. Barkley dark.
get the
Yeah, a little bit.
study the computer and the probe and like get the program out of it somehow.
They should. I mean, it comes back, I guess, to the technology of the world again, which is like
Yeah.
they seem to have enough that they can do this technologically advanced thing, but I'm not even sure that they know that there's intelligent life out there.
No,
Like,
that's
they don't
true. It was
mention
kind of a
aliens.
wing and a
There
prayer
could be
kind
like,
of thing.
Yeah, it could be like, all right, we can do this one really cruel thing. It's all we can do.
That's true, because Picard asks, what planet am I on?
Mm-hmm.
And wifey, Aline, like, looks at him like, you're fucking crazy.
I'm gonna get the doctor.
And he's like, "Come on, Eileen."
Although, again, this does bring up that thing I feel like we've mentioned before, how on Star Trek, all alien races have a unique name for their planet. Whereas, like, in reality, all the homeworld names would probably translate to Earth
Planet.
or home.
Yeah, soil.
Yeah.
Home soil. Not
Our planet.
Fine.
Well, that's not quite true. All right, because our planet, we don't call other planets Earth.
But what I mean is, like, we named our planet as a species before we understood the concept of a planet.
Sure.
So it's like, where are we from? Well, this is just Earth, you know?
Yeah.
Now, you feel like that's
The
what most
ground.
species would do. Is
yeah,
like,
but
you
maybe
know.
the word for Earth in the ones I think are weird are the ones where it's like, yeah, we live on shit show 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Davidian 2 or
Like,
whatever.
why would you definitely wouldn't self name your planet with its number?
Yeah, no, that's idiotic.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless it was some sort of like, you know what it is? It's if they had a normal name at one point, but then some nerd wound up in charge of the government. It's like, now we're blah blah. You know, like if fucking Trekkies wound up taking over the world, we'd become Sol 3. You
That's
know,
true.
Oh, God,
that's
that's
true.
gonna happen someday.
I'm
we're
okay
all
with it.
we're all Terrans.
Yeah, I would be alright with it too.
Now, why do we think so?
Spock with a mustache.
When they tracked
No,
the
beard.
probe
2
back to
bits.
its source, they knew the name of the planet was Catan. even though it has been uninhabited for over 1,000 years.
They did? I know they called it the something system, but I don't remember.
They said Catan.
Oh, they did? I missed
They
that.
did, yeah. And they also said this is an unmapped planet.
Yeah.
It's an unmapped planet. Well, what happened to the life? Oh, it's dead for 1,000 years.
I mean,
You know a lot about this unmapped.
I mean,
It's a good probe.
they might be able to tell that the sun had gone nova. My best rationalization for why they knew the name of the planet is that there were, like in other database, like the Vulcans may have known.
I wonder if the probe just filled that in Picard, because Picard wouldn't have known what the name of it was. Never mind, because he had never seen it before.
Yeah, so that's a bit of unexplained.
Vulcans.
Yeah.
Go with Vulcans.
The Vulcans, they had pulled a Carbon Creek there once, and
No, they actually
showed their tits behind a sheet.
Yeah.
You notice there were two
You're
Catanian.
You're gonna like that episode, Caitlin.
I already do.
There were two Catanian probes. The first one encountered the Vulcans, but because the Vulcans never tell anyone anything,
they just added it to their database of like, oh, here's a planet.
boom, there we go.
Well, when they say unmapped, though, do they mean like literally they don't have it in the map of the known universe, or they mean like nobody's ever gone down?
No,
to
they've
it?
not. They haven't charted the system. They haven't explored it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Of
course,
they knew there was a system, and they knew that the star had gone nova, but I don't think they knew
finer points.
Yeah.
Because there was no reason to go. It was a
Well, I was
dead
going to say,
system.
because they don't go to dead systems. They go to live systems so
But they
that
might
they
go
can
now.
snag them and make them come and live with the Federation and sell them their shit.
You know what it is? They sped by it and found it was a mostly dead, but not quite dead enough system during the Genesis project.
Well, yeah, during
There we go.
Does it have to be completely lifeless?
We found the flute.
We found all this really old soup.
It's delicious.
Did they? I meant to keep an eye out and I forgot Ames. Did he finish his soup?
They didn't show inside the bowl again, but he ate a lot of it.
He did eat a lot of it, yeah. Oh, hi.
Because I'm thinking, there's soup.
Origin. Oh, God, Blick Black?
That crock pot she had, the handles on that thing. Did you see those?
No, I didn't know the
she had
handles.
like this big, looked like it was like an animal horn or something.
Oh, I missed that.
Cover reminded me almost of like a big dim sum steamer.
Yeah, but the handles are where it got me because they were like
I didn't notice
jutting
them.
out.
I completely missed
I
it.
admit that I didn't pay that much attention, unfortunately.
Oh, I noticed.
I thought it was a
I
nice
noticed big
touch
time.
during the naming
I
ceremony
noticed big time. Sorry.
for the sun, where like is it sort of a nice sign that things really are just kind of rough. Is like their food tables just like vegetable chunks. Like, look, we're not doing anything fancy. This isn't fancy times. We're doing the best we can.
This isn't fancy times.
Yeah,
they can't fucking grow anything. Of course.
Exactly. No, but I thought it was a nice
if you're trying to create a simulation to teach people in space about your society, would you really show like the worst time of your civilization, like when it was dying out and when people were getting burnt up by the sun?
Well, it explains what happened
people were
to them.
starving,
Yeah, that's true.
and
You write what you know, and that's what they knew.
I guess I would have put like. I'm sure if humanity did the same thing,
You
it would be
wouldn't
like
document
the simulation would be like punching Hitler in the face repeatedly.
Well, see, that's
would we though? Because I mean, there might have been fine people on both sides, Jake.
that
you know
tells
what I'm saying?
you a lot about the society. Because, like, hey, look, we died, but we actually, like, died with a modicum of self-respect.
It
Like,
creates more empathy with their people.
If-
We're also
if
assuming
Earth
that they're
was-
telling us the truth.
I mean, I choose to believe them. Because I feel like if we knew we were dying here, it would just be constant riots, murder, orgies, like...
Whoever wrote the simulation, whoever created the program, really didn't care for the administrator. Like,
It was probably the administrator's
he seemed like a
wife.
tool the
Nice.
whole
Well,
time.
he seemed like he was going
We came to the same conclusion 2 years ago.
He seemed
Well,
like...
this is what I think an old person sounds like.
Thank
so
you,
I'll talk
Fred
like this.
Armisen.
I was expecting him to be way more of a pill than he was.
Well, because he only shows up twice, but
he
he
was-
looked like he was really going to like cause trouble for Picard.
but he didn't, you know?
But he
It was
seems
just-
like he would, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
but then he didn't, which I thought was
Well, he also
nice.
blew Picard off for like 30 years.
Yeah.
probably better off.
But he's
Well,
on-
that's because
They were both old men by the time he was finally like,
Yeah, you're right.
that's because their society never did the thing Picard was suggesting, so they couldn't do it in the simulation.
he was like the agent. He was like Agent Smith.
Yeah.
He was making sure that things went the way the program needed them to go.
His name is Administrator.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh, I like this. I like this level.
There we go.
If you get, it's like the artificial, like the mountains in the video game.
Yeah.
When you get to them, you
the
just stop
skybox,
walking.
yeah. He's the invisible wall.
Yeah, there you go. I like
That is good. I like that.
I do like
I'm also going to say we should probably move on to Time's Arrow pretty soon.
All right,
Yeah,
let's do
any
that.
final thoughts on this one, though?
Just that I loved it.
It was very good.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, that's the thing. Is it's a really good, a lot of good acting.
It won a Hugo for dramatic presentation,
good.
And I'm surprised it didn't. People are shocked that Picard didn't get an Emmy for this. People are pissed.
Who's pissed?
People.
Star Trek doesn't get Emmys.
Yeah, I was going to say,
no,
that's because it's a fucking
They get
Star
Emmys-
Trek
they get Emmys for
entertainment
makeup, and that's
sci-fi
usually it.
show. They're
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna
I
win
mean,
any
they're...
fucking awards.
Yeah, no, there's just any kind of awards group.
Come on, LA
has this...
LA Law was on it this time. ER probably just started
These sort of quote-unquote serious awards people, like, the best you give a genre thing is a technical award.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm curious if that changes. We will find out soon whether Black Panther is nominated for an Oscar.
That's
this
true.
year.
It should be.
And I hope it is.
A lot of buzz. But yes,
Times
Times
Arrow.
Arrow. So am I the only one who
Yes.
enjoyed
I
himself?
hate you so much.
Wow.
I'm sorry, you're not Mark Twain. I hate Mark Twain so.
Like, are you surprised I like this one? Have we met?
I mean, you
No,
like
it's not
silly,
surprising
stupid
at all.
things.
Exactly.
So.
I was like, oh man, I bet Ames is gonna hate this
This is
one.
it is very Doctor Who of Star
It
Trek.
is.
It
is
does sort of feel
the
that way.
most Doctor
'Cause
Who
you
Star
do.
Trek
Well,
has
actually-
ever been.
Who did we meet in Doctor Who? We don't meet Mark Twain in Doctor Who. We meet Dickens. That's who I was
There was
thinking of.
Dickens. There was there was
Good,
one
deep Dickens.
one moment where I was like, stop it!
To
where
Twain or to
the episode.
Jack
Was it
London?
Jack
Yes!
London? Yeah.
Jack, no, you already have Mark Twain. You didn't need bellhop Jack London.
Was he actually
Fuck
that much of a
you.
cretin?
I hope not.
I've read Call of the Wild and White Fang, and I assumed he wasn't a cretin, but apparently he was a cretin.
You know, aside from the bellhop being Jack London, which fucking...
And the way he fucking says his name, like, you know, I happen
Yeah.
to know.
Jack London.
I happen to know. It's like,
All right,
oh, yeah,
Bond,
yeah.
James Bond,
You're
fuck
just
you.
gonna name drop yourself.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
Thanks,
sitting
guy.
there and he's talking to me. I just wanted to go to, Alaska. I'm like, oh no, they said his name. Motherfucker, is he Jack London? So I got it like a split second before the dumb little fuck said it.
Yeah.
I-
him.
That pissed me off. Aside from that, I had fun.
I recognized it, but I couldn't remember what he had written. But now that you said White Fang, that's I think the film that was the book I was thinking he might have written. What was the other one though?
Call of the Wild.
Call of the
There's
Wild.
a bunch
That's
of
it.
There's a ton of others.
Yeah,
But those
well-
are the two I've read because there's puppies in them.
Oh,
But
yeah, I
yeah,
wound
no,
up
I-
looking
I
up
very
the
much
ones about the
enjoyed
wolves.
that for the remainder of his time in the hotel, Data did keep the vest and the bowler on his...
They looked fucking silly on him.
they
Oh, he
did,
looked wonderful. I loved his.
He always
his
looks wonderful.
Well, yes, but I
Once he
loved
was in
his,
proper clothing...
I liked his clothes. I thought his costumes were very nice.
Yeah, I mean,
for
the
this
costumes
episode.
are really good. I know this part 2 specifically won Emmys for costumes and hairstyling.
Nice,
Because they
that's
got everybody in costumes by
Yeah.
then. And they all looked good.
I am a Frenchman. It's the new I am an android.
They also called him
We
an
come-
albino, which I thought I was like,
We come
Yeah.
from France.
Oh man, I wonder if that was supposed to be kind of a...
You know, if you didn't know what
nod
an
to
android
that.
was, you might think he was albino.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. It was just
That's
such
a
a
good
weird
point.
thing. Like, there's an albino. Oh.
I love people like, oh yeah, when it was, hey, I'm a Frenchman, and nobody went, where's your accent?
Wait a minute. Frenchmen do look like people, though.
No, guys, remember, French is a dead language.
But-
No
Not
one
in
even knows.
1893.
No, yeah, no, it was. Nobody had any idea what a
No,
French
no,
was.
Galdecott spoke French at him.
But he was a man of the world.
That's true.
You know, there's a lot of interesting stuff in this two-parter. What's frustrating about it is, like, it contains 3 or 4 things which could have been good in their own episode. And, like, I mean, if you find Data's head, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You
If you find a species that, you know, lives a little bit shifted and feeds on human life,
Yeah,
that's
very
interesting.
X-Files.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then right about, I remember the moment when I realized that this wasn't going to work for me. And it was when Data said this. What was the source of your jocular reaction?
That was
I'm
a bit
like,
much.
I'm
That was a
sorry,
bit first season Data.
Yeah, aren't I supposed to be worried that he's going to die? What happened with that? And then even like San Francisco, you know, you could imagine a good show where the cast goes back in time to San Francisco to figure out what happened. You know, maybe they could even base a movie off it. You know, just throwing it out there.
Well, originally they said, originally Pillar wanted the time that they go back to be 1990s.
Oh, cool.
And they said, we did that. We did that already. Knock it off. Pick another era. And
We'll
so-
do it,
dumbass on
we
you.
will do it in Voyager.
And they did.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
we need to wait for Sarah Silverman to get big.
Also, we're not going to go to San Francisco that time because, we'll just shoot out the backyard.
San Francisco really is just the Hill Valley of Star Trek. All this important shit happens there.
Yeah. Lone Pine Mall. Starfleet Academy.
Really, when they picked 1890s, I don't know why they picked it. There were a couple other eras that they were thinking of. 1960s, 1930s, whatever. They picked 1890s.
Because the guy they got could only do a Mark Twain impression.
Here's the thing. The guy had never done a Mark Twain before. But after he did a Mark Twain, he liked doing Mark Twain so much that he created a one-man show and toured the company, like being Mark Twain.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
funny.
How did it go?
Considering I thought he was awful,
Yeah.
I don't know how well that
I mean,
went.
he looked like Mark Twain.
I
He had
think
the
He
look.
looked like a Muppet.
Caitlin, you put it best, though.
What did I... Oh, I said that I thought he was the Richard Nixon of Mark Twain's. Like, I'm sure that's not exactly... Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like I really think Mark Twain sounded exactly like that, but it is like, that's the impression.
It's a stereotype.
That's
what you would
the
expect him to
impression that I
sound
expected
like,
him to
To
sound
sound like a cartoon character?
Yeah, basically.
I joked to Jake that he sounded like when Jake goes into nerd voice.
A little. But it would be if his southern gentleman and his nerd voice had a baby.
Do you know what it was to me, too? Actually, it's kind of like when a normal human tries to do, like, an impression of Toad. How you can only do it loudly.
Yeah.
Because he never had an inside voice. He was always like, that Mr. Dane is up to something! It's just kind of like, you can't be like... It's Toad just like, Wah! Like there's no other way to do it. So he was just shouty Mark Twain.
Chris is gonna listen to this in headphones later.
Oh Jesus, I'm so sorry.
Now I'm just trying to picture a Mark Twain. Actually, there was a Toad with a big mustache.
Yeah, the
once,
Chancellor,
wasn't there?
I think, or there was definitely one in Mario RPG.
Yeah, there's definitely a Toad with a big mustache.
All right. Here's the thing about Mark Twain in this episode.
Okay.
It didn't have to be Mark fucking Twain.
No,
Yes.
it didn't.
It could have been just
It did not.
a guy.
It would
Because
have been
as Mark
better.
Twain, he had no fucking motivation to follow these people around. The whole time, I'm like, why is Mark Twain... Every time, Jay can say, every time Mark Twain entered the room, I'm like, why are you here? Why are you fucking here?
Because
Go
he's-
away!
Because he's shrewd and fancies himself smarter than everybody.
They didn't even need an extra... The only reason they needed an extra character was so that, they could send Picard back later,
Yeah.
which was even a stupid plot device to get rid
Because
of
that didn't
him.
have to be.
I don't know which came first, getting rid of Mark Twain or having Mark Twain here in the first fucking place.
I do kind of wonder, though, like, who the historical celebrity guest would have been had they gone with a different era.
Ugh.
Do you know? Do you
No,
have
I
insight
don't.
into
I
that?
have no
It was
insight.
the
Well, you said you knew
1990s
the other
Vanilla
eras,
Ice.
right?
Yeah, that was it.
What were the other eras they were in? Oh my god, you failed Chris.
That's the worst combination ever!
I missed it. What did he say?
Vanilla Ice and Star Trek.
Palling
Yeah,
around
the obvious
data.
choice is MC Hammer. Technology.
Wow. Here's what Chris has got to do one day, is just compile all of his ridiculous laughs into one long stream and then burn it.
Vanilla Ice.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I feel like if they'd done the 60s, they would have been assholes and gone all meta, and it would have been like Gene Roddenberry or Leonard Nimoy or
William Shatner.
Jeffrey Hunter.
Oh. Jeffrey Hunter was dead by now.
But, like, if,
Well, yeah, but
if it was
either
Vanilla...
way, it would have been someone playing a younger version, so it couldn't have been.
To be fair, though, if they had made it Vanilla Ice, at least the reason why he was going and following them around would be because he had no career and nothing fucking better to do.
True.
It's much more easily explained
Yeah, I
than Mark
feel like
Twain.
his flash in the pan moment had already happened by then. Although I think, isn't he like a professional house flipper now?
Yeah.
Like I think
Whoa.
He just lives his life.
he actually is
life.
doing fairly well for himself as a house flipper.
Well, that's
Could
good.
do work. Could do works, really.
But Flipper was always meant to be in the water, so...
Oh, he could have been the guest who was in the 60s.
Flipper?
Yeah, Flipper was huge. Faster than lightning.
I feel like this happens a lot whenever Star Trek tries to have special guests, like thoughtful people. And, like, it never quite works 100%. The only way this sort of felt like some kind of assignment Earth situation where the CW was starting a backdoor pilot for like Mark Twain, paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
I would watch that.
Yeah, I'd watch,
It's
If
not
they had a
bad
different
in and of
actor.
itself.
Well, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, it's the CW, so he'd be like 23
Young and hot.
Ooh, I would watch that.
Young Mark
can
Twain
Yeah.
before... Yo, that's great.
Can he be played
young
by Jensen Ackles?
Young Mark Twain before he's a writer. When he's like a riverboat dude, so he's going to different towns every week, and every week copyright
And he
Carl,
probably
I guess.
has
but
his shirt
I get
off
some
a
of the
lot.
money.
Ooh, there we
we'll
go.
work out.
Yeah, no, young, hot Mark Twain fighting ghosts. I would watch
as
that.
As long as they don't end the whole series with I think I'll become a writer.
Oh, you know they got
Remember
they
the
have
name, Mark Twain.
Mark
that thing would have to
Twain.
be called Clemens, because it's before he's Mark Twain. It's like Smallville.
Yeah, I wonder if Mark Twain is a trademark or something, because there's a moment where they say, "Oh, I'm not Mark Twain, I'm Samuel Clemens."
Well,
But,
we were sort of saying
yeah.
maybe it was just his nom de plume, and he didn't
that
really
was-
want to
that
go
was
by
his-
it in
yeah,
life.
I think that's true.
Makes sense.
Like some authors will like answer to their pen name, but I don't know enough about the real Mark Twain. I don't know him like in real life. He was like, "Look, when you see me in person, I'm Sam Clemens." Jesus, little tongue.
I'm Bruce
So
Wayne.
off the subject of Mark Twain is
Anything else?
So
please.
one thing that's always kind of bugged me about this episode is this.
They never pay her rent. No,
No, he asked
tells
Twain
you-
to sell
no,
the billboard.
I know. Go on, Jake. I'm sorry.
Is this the reason why Guinan and Picard are so tight?
Yeah, I kind of assume.
It doesn't like I
Because
think
he hung out with her in a cave for
I
a
think
little
I
while.
missed the significance of why it was such a big deal. Was it that he stayed? If he hadn't stayed with her, would she have died?
I guess.
Yeah, no, she was struggling, but then again, if he hadn't come back in the first place, she wouldn't have even been there.
I think they could have written better why he needed to go back.
Yeah, that was a little just like...
And it's such a disappointment, in my opinion, for the character of Guinan.
Absolutely.
Because here's what we know now about Guinan.
She's
Species killed by the
long-lived.
Borg.
Yep.
We've got, she is very persuasive, it's established in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't like Q.
She recognizes Yar in another timeline.
Recognizes Yar, species sense that goes beyond linear time. And we learned in this episode, finally, that she has issues with her dad. And it's like, you can't... I realize they want to keep it like mysterious, but like if her bond with Picard is so great, we should see that. Like we should watch them hang out, you know.
Yeah.
Not just in a cave.
Yeah.
I wonder a little bit because, as we've mentioned, this is a two-parter, and the reason it's a two-parter is because momentum for DS9 was building, and TNG wanted to make sure people knew that TNG wasn't going to go away imminently. So they're like, oh, if we end on a cliffhanger, they'll know we're definitely coming back.
I don't know. That didn't work with Deadwood.
Yeah, but they were in the news. They knew DS9 was coming, and they wanted to make sure TNG stayed in the news as well.
Also, I'm pretty sure DS9 premieres in the middle of season 6.
It does.
It's like a January.
It does,
premiere.
but they also they started filming the premiere during part 2 of Time Zero.
Wait, so does this mean we're losing Worf on TNG
No,
soon?
we're losing
No.
O'Brien.
And
Oh, well,
Keiko,
that's fine. Bye.
So I wonder, because it was a two-parter, and going back to the two-parter thing, I wonder if they didn't realize how to fucking end the episode between the break.
They did not.
They never do.
I will say, while I really enjoyed this one, this definitely suffered from... Like, as far as the three, like, season-spanning finales we've had, the one where the part 2 felt to be about the same level as the part 1 was probably Redemption.
Yes, I agree.
Because, as we talked about...
But Sela.
Yeah,
But it's still better
they
than...
finished the episode.
Yeah,
That's
one.
true.
Whereas, like, this and Best of Both Worlds sort of had this issue of, like, what do we do now?
Yeah, exactly. I
Like,
agree with that.
I will say again, I still overall enjoy them as a unit. I think it's hysterical and ridiculous and dumb in ways that I adore. But I will say
you have
this,
bad taste.
the second half, it's like, we don't get to see how the others managed to fit themselves into 1893. We're just, they did it, all right?
Riker was a cop randomly?
Yeah.
Where did he get
I
that
feel like
costume?
there had to be a cut scene where they
He,
beat
works downtown.
people up and
Yeah.
steal their clothes.
I did read that they had to cut for time and budget and whatever
Yeah,
else, a whole lot of what they were doing themselves, because apparently Picard was supposed to be running a cafe. And there would have been like a small story there, but they cut all
fun.
that.
Well, then he could have paid his rent.
Great is if there was a scene where they had
I don't know how he got the cafe.
where Picard and Riker were like, okay, we'll go off and we'll find some
Card
clothes.
game.
So they steal some off of some clotheslines. And then a policeman walks up and is like, well.
Yeah,
And then they
Where
beat
do you
up,
think you're going
and then
with
they
those
beat up the
clothes?
policeman and
Cop.
steal his clothes.
Yeah.
I will say there was definitely moments of
City on the Edge Forever.
Forever there, like with Data
But bad.
doing his best to
Yeah.
make future crap out of past
Yeah,
things.
it did look a lot like the thing that
Spock,
Spock
Huli,
built.
what's it?
Maybe it was. Maybe it was like literally the same prop.
But yeah, so we didn't have exactly how they settled into 1893. They just were there.
Yep.
There was like clearly a plot thread that was dropped with like, oh, we found the cave, but it's in like the middle of this military base. Oh, never mind, we're in. Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, it was for a two-parter. Everything seemed rushed,
Yeah.
and I think it's because they crammed so much into it. It's like, okay, we got to get Jack London in, we got to get Mark Twain in, we got to get Guinan in, we got to get these life-sucking aliens and how they dress up as kinky nurses.
Also, we genocide them at the end.
I wrote that.
The aliens that dress up in period clothing to steal human life. That is literally every Doctor Who episode, right?
Dude, it felt very adipose, actually.
It's very Doctor Who, also very Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
We need their energy!
Yeah, no, that's true. Especially, like, Queen Beryl and company in the beginning
monsters always disguising themselves as humans.
They need that pure human energy.
That's what we needed. 1890s Sailor Moon could have saved the day.
Oh
There
my
you go.
god, that would have been amazing. Why is that not a thing?
It was definitely overstuffed, and yet I mean
a good
they
cookie.
also, and yet I mean Mrs. Carmichael, not to take anything away from
Oh, yeah,
from Mrs.
Midsummer
Carmichael,
Night's Dream.
but like that is literally the last thing Picard says. Like, make sure you settle this bill with Mrs. Carmichael, not
Take care of
make
Guinan
sure-
and pay my bill.
Yeah, like why did we need that?
Oh, and don't
Because,
tell
you know-
anybody what you've seen.
Why did we really need like they were about to kill themselves by not phasing the photons right?
Well, but he didn't know
Like,
that, right?
Yeah. And like the iron filing thing is clever, I guess, but like there's also a thing where like they find the head and then they go back and then they go forward, and when they go forward the rest of the body is there.
Yeah.
But they didn't find the body in the first episode.
No, they brought his
And-
body back.
His body made it.
That was the same body.
Basically,
Okay.
it
His
got
body
cut
wasn't in
off
the
by
cave.
the It got cut off
The
by
explosion.
No, one. I think
cut it off?
it was
But,
like
yeah,
it was
so
like
what
going
happened was
through the
when
time door,
when
right?
the portal opened up, it opened up on Data.
It is
Right.
And the
Oh,
bottom
I gotcha.
part of him went through the portal, and the top part of him stayed in
Oh,
1890.
I get it now. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because he
Well,
was fighting with the alien.
Yeah, and their magic snake came.
Yeah, Snake King.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Jafar?
I liked the creature. The creature was kind of cool.
Yeah, the creature was cool, and it
but I
was
felt
like
sorry for
it was like good early '90s CGI. Like they were just about to start.
Yeah.
They were
doing
getting.
good
Yeah, it
stuff.
was starting to get better.
But yeah, so they genocided that species, though.
They did.
They,
And the thing is,
just- that's it.
Picard was talking with the nurse-shaped one
Yeah.
for a little while, being like, can we come to another arrangement? And then she vanishes, basically. It's like, I bet they could have come up with
No,
another
she said
arrangement.
no. She was like, no.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she also has, a horse in this race where she likes eating people.
Well,
But that I will say
right?
did bother me, though. It's like, oh, so that's it. The
would've
solution
been-
is
No,
genocide.
didn't bother me. They were
would've been-
people mosquitoes. I'm
Yeah,
good.
but it would. I feel like it would have been a more Picardy solution and a more Star Trek solution if instead of destroying their whole people, they had found another solution.
like
Yeah.
True Blood.
Yeah, but that would have required its own episode. Was the thing. Like,
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
don't ever
Well,
want to
then
speak
if
of
we
this
cut
again.
if we cut Twain entirely, then
Oh,
we can
man,
do
yeah.
that, and I'd be fine.
Yeah, I just think it's sort of lazy writing all around, sort of lazily paced.
It felt
Throw in
like
some cool
fanfic.
stuff.
Yeah.
And the big example of that, last time I was here was for Data's Girlfriend episode.
Oh, God.
In theory,
And in theory.
Yeah.
And both that episode and this one have the following exchange. Captain Picard's in peril. Riker goes, "O'Brien, get him out of here!" Boom, blow up. "O'Brien, have you got him?" And then you hear on the intercom, "Yes, you've got me, number one. Close shave." Exact same exchange.
was it really?
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice this time. I was like, wow, way to reference Cole Meany without having to pay him.
Yeah, yeah. They do that. I think they do that when they're low on money.
Yeah.
I think he
They
was
referenced
also
an ensign that wasn't
he was
there,
also
too, at the
he
end.
was also leaving for DS9 at the time.
True.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, he does, I think, pop up in one or two more episodes next season, but yeah, he's
Does
pretty much.
Keiko come too?
I don't remember if we see any more Keiko on the show. We see tons of Keiko on DS9, so
God,
strap
no
in.
wonder all Star Trek fans hate DS9.
That's not true at all.
I think it's
DS9.
fairly black and white, and people either say DS9 is the best one, or people are like DS9's garbage.
The people
Oh, yeah.
who say that DS9 is garbage are the people who didn't watch it all the way through when it first was on, or they watched the first couple seasons
Yeah.
and tuned out because it was boring.
Yeah, the first two
Yeah.
seasons.
People that have watched all of DS9, do not say DS9 is bad.
I think I was 12 when Deep Space Nine premiered, and it was like I did not get it as a kid. I didn't.
Yeah,
watch
it wasn't.
It's not for
an
kids.
adventure like TNG.
Mm.
Yeah.
The characters are all. I'm going to say this. All the characters are better than most other tracks, I'd say.
Huh, that's
No,
good.
the characters.
Sorry.
The characters
The
are
characters are
really
way
well.
better than the TNG. The characters,
Especially the women.
The characters on DS9 are actual characters.
Yeah.
The characters on TNG are like people that work in an office. Then they don't really have much else. We learn a few things. I was reading a thing, I think might have been Renee Echevara that said that writing for DS9 was so much easier than writing for TNG because with DS9 you can put any of these two characters in a conversation and know exactly how they will interact because they're all fully realized characters, whereas with TNG it's like,
They're whatever
I don't
they need
really
them to
know
be,
how
yeah.
Geordi interacts with Crusher because they're just people. Like the only reason they're in the scene together is to exchange information to further the plot.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm glad people, because I was kind of wondering, because again, like I said before, this is one I've seen the least of, and like overall I've enjoyed the show, but I felt like the characters are kind of lacking,
Yeah, no,
and I was like, is it just
Beta's
me?
the best one, and
Yeah.
every other one.
Picard's is
Picard,
pretty,
yeah.
pretty,
Well,
pretty round.
No. Patrick Stewart makes Picard
True.
who he is, though.
Yeah,
On
but we
paper,
know
Patrick
a
Stewart
fair
is
amount about
bland.
it. And Worf, I feel like we know a lot about Worf
Well,
at this point.
that's because they spent the most time on
They
Worf.
spent a
I
lot of
think.
time on Worf.
But yeah,
Once we got rid of
But
Picard.
Geordi, Crusher,
Yeah.
Troy, Riker really kind of get shafted.
Yeah.
in the
It's
character
reassuring to
story.
know, though, that I'm not just missing something.
Can you imagine the other universe where we got more Yar and never got to know Worf and how fucking lame that would have been?
She would have wound up on
God.
Deep Space Nine.
Ooh, that'd be interesting, actually. Actually, it would be. I'm interested to see how the rest of season 6 is gonna go, because I know, like, because DS9 was happening at the same time for a lot of it, like, a lot of the writers either went to DS9 or split their time between TNG and DS9, so it became like a constantly juggling the balls in
Well,
the
that's
air.
why I think the first couple
no.
seasons of DS9 are a little weak.
And why does TNG go downhill
And
from
TNG
here?
Well, yeah,
also-
we've now
TNG
passed the best of the TNG,
We've definitely
right?
passed the best, but there's still
Well,
some
Inner Light
great,
was
there's
today,
some there's some good stuff.
But that was
left to
season
come, I
5.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't think it ever collapses in terms of quality, but it definitely does get... Like, I could feel sort of, as we started Time Zero Part 2 in Season 6, I felt like the show got worse a little bit.
Yeah, I think the average goes down.
It's very sad.
There's still some really great episodes coming up, some really memorable episodes.
And some trash.
And there's a real lot of trash coming up. So.
Good.
But it's still...
We
like,
have a lot of fun talking about
we
the
have a lot
trash.
of
do,
stuff,
stuff.
don't
we
we?
do.
I think we enjoy
Will
the
it be
trash
fun
episodes.
trash? Like, is it
Some of it is.
I have terrible
Yeah,
taste, as
is
we
it
discovered,
Mary
so-
trash or is it like?
Or is it like Time Zero
Bonk,
trash?
bonk on the head.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
God.
Fuck 'em.
That fucking kid.
That fucking kid, dude. Was that this show? No,
No,
that was
that was
TOS,
TOS.
right? Okay, for a second I was like, oh fuck, wait, no, that's right. I forgot
Anyway,
myself.
I was going to say one other thing, but now I kind of forgot what
Oh
it was.
fuck, I'm sorry.
It's
How
okay.
many times in my notes did I write, "Why is Mark Twain here"?
Oh,
That's a great question. Go ahead, Jake.
yes. So going back to the crew that joins them in goes back to the 1890s.
Yeah.
How fucking absurd is it that it's basically everyone who's important on the ship,
Yeah.
except for Worf?
Because they didn't...
Worf, like, think about this. Worf is actually in command of the ship while they're in 1890s.
Wow, that's a bad call.
And if
Where's LaSalle?
And if they don't come back, which is entirely possible, Worf is the captain until they get a new captain, because he's the highest ranking officer left.
That's kind of funny.
He's not even a lieutenant commander.
Yeah.
I thought it
He's
was
just a lieutenant.
really kind of like lame. It was like, oh, really? You didn't want to have to put Worf in a funny hat in the 1890s, you pricks?
Oh no.
My friend's ears got
And,
caught in a rice
other
picker.
than like
My friend's head got trampled by a horse.
Have you ever seen Home Alone? You know that part with
With what?
the iron?
Oh.
It was like that.
like why did Troy have to go on this journey?
Because she could sense the terror of the people.
Well, yeah, actually, her sensing the people was very important.
In the cave, but once they were in
Yeah,
the
you're right.
Yeah,
They
she
should have
didn't
left her
have to.
home
She
after
didn't
that.
do anything. Geordi didn't do anything after they went back, other than use his visor to see some shit.
Yeah.
And then, like, have to awkwardly take it off.
Yeah.
P.S. Did
Oh,
he
God,
leave
the-
the little blinking bits on?
He wore glasses, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
He had glasses on.
He wore some blind man glasses on.
I
he
just
was
thought
pretending
of
not to be
blind
blind,
man
which
glasses?
is
He was?
because you notice
That's stupid.
there was a scene where he was
They
reading the
did a
book
blind
upside
joke,
down.
which was horrifying.
What was the blind joke?
He was reading the book upside down.
And like Troy
no.
or Crusher, whoever's next to him, flipped it for him. I was like, did this really just happen? So yeah, that and Jack London
It
I
was
could have
straight
done
out
without.
of freaking
I didn't even
Men in
notice
Tights.
that.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, Blinken.
Hey.
Lincoln? Yeah, that I could have done without as well. That and Jack London. Aside from that, though, I had fun. Even with the weaker second half.
And I really still don't buy that this is, like, because you remember, Guinan makes it a big deal how close she and Picard are.
Yeah.
She says, in one episode, she's like, what we
I don't have
go-
many friends.
What we have
and-
goes beyond friendship, beyond family. He's hung around me in a cave when I had a boo boo. And then,
Well, I mean,
and then
yes.
another time she goes and she says like, oh, I like bald men because a bald man was very kind to me when I was hurt. And I was like, yeah.
I mean, I
like-
presume them actually becoming close happens later. But it's like, for whatever reason, the reason she ends up, it could be that she's, we still don't know exactly how they met from his perspective.
That's true. And also,
So,
the genocide hasn't happened yet, because she's talking about her dad.
Yeah.
So maybe...
But Picard,
Hasn't it?
but the reason she worked
No,
with
her
him in the
dad's still
first
alive.
place presumably has to do with the fact, it's that guy from Frisco.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still it's not the reason their friendship is as tight, but it is the reason.
Well, I'm guessing
it
at this
started.
point she makes it such that, I feel like she feels like she must have some kind of a life debt to him.
Maybe,
And
yeah.
that's why she seeks him out
Yeah.
in the future.
I remember I was recently re-listening to our Best of Both Worlds episode, and you made a comment saying, because Guinan's talking with Riker about, how to handle things without Picard here, and you said something like, well, Guinan knows how this is going to shake out. Is what you meant by that her being like, well, he comes back
Oh
in
yeah,
time for me.
she knows that
So-
Time Zero happens.
Has to happen, yeah.
That he will be, that he is alive to be in San Francisco in
All
1890.
right. That's what I figured now that I have the context.
Yeah, so the writers obviously didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
But we now can retcon that
It's
that
like
she knew that he would survive.
it's like how Arthur Dent knows he's fine until he goes to Romula Beta.
But this whole thing remains like I think that's all a good point. But from an artistic standpoint, we now know, Guinan is not on the show that often. She doesn't have a good schedule.
No.
And,
Oh, God, and we
half
wasted
of-
her time on this
Exactly.
episode!
I think literally half of her job was to be an exposition machine in this.
Carl, now you've made me
And-
mad about this shitty
I
episode.
am
But she
mad.
looks
I used
As
to
a writer,
I used to just not like it, and now I'm pissed.
I mean, we could have had 3 great episodes from these things.
Yeah, she looked good in that
And
costume though.
Very
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah,
she and
that's true.
Picard, she and Stewart, great chemistry. I'd watch them read the phone
Yeah,
book
I think
to
that
each
was
other.
that was the highlight of these
Naked.
episodes
I'd
was
wa-
them together.
Well, obviously, yeah.
I just want to make sure.
She had two. There were two purposes in this episode for her. One of them was to involve Sam Clemens
Ugh.
into the event, and the other one was to off-screen solve the Presidio problem.
Yes.
She's very persuasive.
Yeah.
And what did Data even mean by that? Like, what? How? I don't know.
She sweet talked the guards at the Presidio,
Yeah.
or who knows.
She used her feminine
And, like,
wiles.
really,
did
like,
She showed them a
Did
boob.
she then have that?
Just one boob?
Because we know
The
that
good one.
nobody has gone into that
Everyone's got one good one.
That's true. I can
into that tunnel for 500 years after that. So did Guinan go and seal it up or something?
I mean, so the thing is, it looked like even in 1890, there was definitely some cobwebs and shit. I think it was already a tunnel they were done with.
But,
is the thing.
No one's been in there in
But
500
that's the thing.
years.
500 years is a long time for no one to be like, oh, I wonder what's in that tunnel over
I know
there.
kids playing shit
Somebody
all the time.
had to have hid it behind a boulder,
Aliens?
or built a building on top of it or something.
Yeah, could have been a cave-in or so. Isn't there there's they did an earthquake joke as well.
yeah, they kept
An
talking about
earthquake will
earthquake
never
coming.
hit San Francisco.
We haven't had an
Yeah.
earthquake in 30 years.
They're lucky
Did an
that-
earthquake hit right after
1806.
1906, I thought.
Yeah, that's right, 1906.
1906. That's 15 years after this.
But no, but it's a whopper.
But it literally destroyed the city. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess,
but that light bulb would be done by then.
I guess you could see.
Not even a
I guess
light
you could
bulb,
say
with an oil
that
lamp.
that's a good thing. That a good reason that maybe the earthquake caused the
Sealed
cave-in
off,
of
yeah.
the thing. And so after 1906, no one had gone in there again.
California, like just the tectonic plates of California have always struck me as chaotic. Like, you know, to live in a place where earthquakes I guess it's just a normal thing, but like from time to time the earth will shake, just so you know.
Yeah.
Well, people think that about people who live in places like this where there's blizzards.
Sure.
Maybe,
But fuck that. Fuck earthquakes.
maybe like cholera, we will find out that earthquakes are caused by aliens.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it's caused by the lizards in the Illuminati that rule the world secretly from the shadows.
That's just fracking. It's just
That's
just
true,
fracking.
though, but...
All right.
The other thing that I actually kind of liked was Data, like, living his mortality, like, you know, noticing his mortality.
Oh, yeah, that.
That was actually kind of a nice touch of him saying, like, you know, it's gonna suck if I have to watch my friends die to watch Geordie die, who's my best friend.
Well,
right
actually, though, he didn't seem bothered by that. Geordie did. He was like, yeah, I figured I'd make new friends.
And then I'd watch them die.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's traumatic.
I mean, he recognizes it, but he doesn't seem too bothered.
I'm not angry. Okay, I'm angry.
I liked that.
I like
thought that was
scene.
good.
Yeah.
I don't have to be an empath. Shut up. Oh, yeah, this is also the sunscreen episodes.
Oh my god, yes.
Because by the end of Inner Light, it's like, put on your special sunscreen and
Skin sun protected. What do they call it?
Something like skin protector. And then in part 2 of Time's Arrow, clearly Marina Sirtis had gone somewhere tropical over the summer. Because holy shit, she was obviously freshly tanned.
Just passing through that vortex. You saw how bright that was. It just cooked her on the way in.
Yeah,
That's actually where they got the idea
Betazoids have very
tanning
sensitive
beds.
skin.
How long were they in sunny San Francisco?
True. But she was in that friggin', collar to fucking ankle.
Well, yeah, when we saw her, but when nobody was around, she was sunbathing naked out back.
I had
know
no sense of
Betazoids like being
the
naked.
time between... Like, what was the time between when Data goes back in 1890s time, let's say?
Yeah.
Because he's been there long enough to have a whole wardrobe, be friends with people. He drives a horse and buggy that he apparently has.
Think about how many card games he must have had to have won to get that many clothes.
Kidding.
Ducat gave him all of them.
He probably doesn't even know where to shop.
And then, our crew comes back and they have time to find clothes and find an apartment.
Well, no, but they also were planning on going, so they might have dressed up before
they
jumped.
We saw
they went through in
They
their
were in their uniforms.
Well, that's fucking dumb because they have the whole holodeck costume room. They could have replicated themselves up some shit.
Did they know that they were following Data back to 1980 to 1893 specifically?
I don't know. I think they knew that it was a time portal. I don't think they knew where it was.
That's true. Like he could have gone back further than the 1890s and been alive for a couple of centuries before his head came off in that cave.
Before his head came off.
Yeah, and they also only knew the approximate time that the head was in the cave. Like,
Yeah,
they knew it was. They knew that nobody had been in the cave for 500 years. They don't know how old the head is, though.
Yeah, they're like dressed up for 1840, and it's the 1890s. It's like, oh fuck! It's like that episode of Futurama where, well, in a couple of ways, but that episode of Futurama where they go to the 40s, and Leela's dressed for the late 50s, and Farnsworth is dressed for the late 30s, early 40s. So they're both off by 10 years, but that's enough that they both look ridiculous for when they are. And also, Bender's head gets lost in the desert for 1,000 years.
Jordy, you're wearing hammer pants. What the fuck? So the other thing too is the time passage between in the 24th century, right? Because they're not how far.
Well, the aliens can also go back to I assume whenever they want, so they could just pick a time, say, "Oh, we're gonna go back March 3rd. Next time we go back, we're gonna go back October 8th." We don't know how
so
far
it's not a
apart
linear.
they left.
It's not like a minute in 1893 is a
I
minute
don't know.
in the 24th.
That's left very vague.
So we have no idea how long Data was there, and then we also have no idea how long Picard and crew were there. It could have been years.
Well, but they decided pretty quickly, at least, to follow Data, so we know he wasn't there too long.
But the end of the other side of the portal is always the same place and about the same time, it seems.
Yeah, it seems.
But we do know, when Twain comes back, he has come back early enough that, Picard and Guinan aren't dead.
That's true.
Oh, that is true.
And also, he shouldn't be
and
dead.
He said he showed up in the middle of Market Street, and I'll tell you this: to get from Market Street to the Presidio is a fucking hike. That is like a 45-minute run.
Ooh.
Because you're also
And I don't think Twain runs.
yeah. So
No, he kind of ambles.
it is. I mean, I've walked from Market Street to the Presidio. So the Presidio is just for hell, but it's like
It was his Times
You were
Arrow pilgrimage.
Yeah, you were doing the Twain walk.
that's true. I was doing a train walk.
Train walk.
It's a long walk. You basically have to walk by. You walk by the Double Dumbass on You area.
Yeah.
You've got to walk through Chinatown. You have to walk. You can walk all the way around the Embarcadero, which is like the perimeter of San Francisco.
Did you stop by the bay to see the whales?
Go see George
That's in,
Have you told our listeners what you did at the Double Dumbass on You intersection?
I don't know if I have.
Oh, wait, you actually went to the Double Dumbass
I went to the
intersection?
Double Dumbass intersection, which it's right near the pyramid, that pyramid building.
Oh, yeah,
the Transamerica building. Or
Yes, the
something.
Transamerica building.
So it's right near there. It's like a block from there. So if you're in the San Francisco area and you want to visit the Double Dumbass on You intersection, then that's where it is. Anyway, so I stood in that intersection about where they stood in this show, and then I asked some random dude walking by, I was like, "Excuse me, sir." And he said, yeah. And I said, "Would you call me a dumbass?" And
Did you get some tape?
I got it. I did.
Did he sign a waiver for you?
At least it's on my Instagram. Let me see.
Oh my God.
I think it's on my Instagram. I tagged you in it, Caitlin.
That's
I think
right.
You saw this already.
That's right.
Let me see if I can find
Caitlin's
it.
memory isn't that great.
Who are you?
Do I still have Instagram on here? Yeah, I do.
No, Caitlin's memory is
I don't know
definitely
if
not that
I don't know
great.
if I do. It didn't go quite as good as I had hoped.
It's all
But,
the LSD.
LDS.
Sorry, LDS.
let's see. Here, I think this is it. There we go. All right, hold on.
Watch where you're going, dumbass. Well, double dumbass on you. Watch where you're going.
and yeah, you can see I'm right near the. Right near there's the pyramid in America.
Wonderful.
I was worried you were going to say, yeah, so I got the internet, I just ran out into the street.
I ran in front of a car. The guy just happened to tell me I'm a dumbass.
And then
He's not wrong.
got hit and went to the hospital immediately.
I asked someone to call me a dumbass, and I got my ass handed to me.
That's right. So it worked out. But anyway, point is, that's a long walk for Mark Twain to do. So he had to have been there.
3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And why would it put him down on Market Street?
That's where the aliens were going.
Because their technology wasn't exact, so...
Well, it might have been, it's just that we didn't know.
They knew there was a cholera victim over there, so...
Yeah. See that it's got to be a budget thing because it would have been more convenient for him to arrive in the cave, production wise.
Right, but then we wouldn't have had that tense moment of because they're waiting on the ship for a while and they're like, we don't even know if he made it. So I assume that the reason why they made him 45
Twain?
minutes away was so that they could be like, oh fuck, we've been waiting a while. What do we do now?
Right.
Twain is still here. He won't leave.
I don't know if it was just a clever touch or just the fact that both the actresses were actually uncomfortable.
I'm sure it wasn't a clever touch.
But there were several moments where both Bev and Troy kind of were clearly kind of shifting the awful fucking corsets they had to wear. It's yeah, they wouldn't be used to that. That is true.
Probably.
I don't think there are any bras in the future. It's supposed to be the perfect society, right?
Yeah, they just have little anti-grav pasties they slap on the bottom.
Oh, that's perfect.
If
It's
they
my
want,
dream
if
come
they
true.
want to lift and separate. The problem is you walk around all day and you just hear the little coming from under your tits.
Coming from under your
Okay, so it's about 5 miles from pretty much anywhere on Market Street.
Well, he was a heavy
Anywhere in the
smoker,
Presidio.
so...
I do appreciate, I guess, that Twain was anti-imperialist in that little weird,
that was
2-minute on-the-nose political debate that they threw in.
Yeah,
Shouting at whoever was listening.
Yeah.
Troy.
And then finally he's like, well, I guess if they abolish poverty, we can get rid of cigarettes. And it's thank you, Mark. That's just the kind of unity we need right now in our troubled times. Yeah.
I did like that he was saying to Troy, you think one of your replicated hoodly-doos could be as... And because, a season or two ago, she was, bitching about the fact that replicated chocolate isn't as good.
Oh, yeah.
So it's she's acting like she doesn't get you, but she gets it.
Yeah.
Of course she gets him. She's an empath.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no,
So-
she is. And she doesn't mention it very often, and she certainly doesn't show it
Certainly.
very often.
She certainly doesn't show it.
No, sorry, that was just my Jean-Luc Picard.
That's right, yeah.
My impression again. I'm sorry about that.
Mr.
Slipped in-
Twain, I expect you to die. Wait.
Whoa.
I wish we could have gotten to know you more. wish we would have gotten to know you way less.
Just read my books.
So, does anyone else have final thoughts on this one, or should we move on to the season wrap?
Glad it's over.
Done with it.
Glad it's over, and off to a rough start, season 6.
All right, well.
And this probably isn't even the worst thing we'll see in season 6. That's even worse.
Now you get to see Scotty's bare ass.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but he's old.
Oh, that's true.
We don't actually see his bare ass. I'm sorry.
Oh, what the fuck?
Sorry for defaming James Doohan.
Wow.
Yeah. The one, like, I know it was a shame in season 5. We didn't see any Q in season 5.
Yeah, no.
Oh, wow, we
that's a
didn't,
shame.
did we?
No.
Wow.
We will get some Q in season 6, though. So
You know, that was pretty soon, I feel like, because I think I was going through what was coming up, and I think, like,
Yeah, it's like the second
actually,
episode.
very quickly, there's a screen cap of Q being like, what?
Yeah, that's right. He has a goodie coming up.
Oh, that's
Well, he got bored of traveling
there's
with what's-her-name awfully
I
quick,
think there
huh?
might be
Vash.
2 Q
Vash.
episodes in this season.
Oh, sweet.
I'm not sure.
Oh, good. We'll make up for it. Except,
Anyway,
So-
there's
how
some
many
good stuff
Borg
coming up.
episodes this season?
No, when is
One.
Descent?
I don't know.
It descends to the season finale.
Oh, it is? Okay,
Yep.
then yeah.
So, we're going to do the usual then.
Yeah. Do we want to? Would we
Bottom
like to,
first.
Should we let Carl go?
Yeah.
Start us
that's
off.
That's what we've been doing.
Are you doing
Okay, good.
bottoms first
Okay.
or tops first?
Bottoms
Bottoms
first, so we end on a happy note.
All right. I have to give an asterisk to this since I haven't. This might be my favorite season of Next Gen. I was
So
reading.
far, it's mine, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
excellent,
think so too.
excellent.
There was a lot of really good stuff in here.
Yeah, and it had a lot of good character work and good, interesting ideas, in my opinion. But I haven't watched it all. Like, I haven't been watching along as an adult.
What?
I'm sorry.
Well, even if he was
But,
watching along, we have a bunch of episodes that haven't gone up yet.
Yeah. So I have to do this asterisk, top and bottom, from the point of view of an 11-year-old.
That's cool.
So I'm gonna try.
So
do
we'll
this.
probably match a lot here. Right?
All right. Bottom 3.
So the one where you get to see Luoxana naked.
No, that would be
Right.
top 3, wouldn't it?
Oh, there you go. That's true.
Ugh.
That was a very special moment for an 11-year-old. But
Alexander's still in therapy from that moment. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, go on, Carl.
okay. Number 3 is Time's Arrow Part 1. I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
And I know Mark Twain, right?
I thought it was Jack London.
Yeah. A lot of this is just as a function of the time I happened to see it. Like, this aired in like June 1992.
Did you know who
and
Jack
then
London was as a kid?
I would have known that, but like after that fall, my family went out to Europe because my stepdad got this grant. So I was out of American television for like 3 months. So I saw part 1, did not see part 2, did not come back till January. And then I don't think I even saw part 2 until like, I remember watching it, flipping back and forth between it and Late Night with Conan O'Brien or something. So like, it just is sort of inessential. Like I realized later, oh yeah, I never saw the end of that. Oh, I guess I should. And then, like, every couple of years, I forget what happened in part 2. It's like, oh, that happened? Okay.
Oh, we genocided a people.
Genocided people. But it does have cool imagery and some interesting things. And that, to me, puts it above Redemption Part 2. Similar problems sort of to Time's Arrow, but like Redemption 1 is kind of all I need, I think. And it's again, a lot of hurried stuff. Worf is not, we see a lot with Worf, but then Sayla comes in, and I don't think I recognized Denise Crosby at that time. So I was like, I don't get it. And then they're like, my mother became the Romulan consort. And I was like, Mom, what's a consort? And they were like, oh, where did you hear that one? So kind of a mess.
That's true. If you didn't see a lot, because you don't see a lot of Yar,
We don't
even
see
in
a lot of
season
Yar.
1. There's not a ton of her, so you kind of have to remember who Yar is for this episode to make any sense.
And I loved Yesterday's Enterprise. I mean, that's a fantastic episode. But I just didn't. Oh yeah, actors look different when you change their hair. I hadn't known that yet. But it does have some cool stuff, which puts it above my bottom episode, The Masterpiece Society.
Really?
Which I just didn't get. Like it was sort of adult stuff, like boring adult stuff, basically.
The guy was hot.
I'm sure he was.
I'm sure he was. Jake?
All right.
Blick Black
good
is
choices,
now
I
masquerading
think.
his friend.
All right, so
He's
my
good friend.
bottom, I have no
Black
overlap with you. which makes it more interesting. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So my bottom ones are in no particular order. New Ground. New Ground.
New Ground made the mistake of leaving us with Alexander.
Yeah. So not only was it an Alexander heavy episode, the side plot about the new propulsion thing.
Oh yeah, that was so stupid.
Stilton wave.
Dumb.
The Stilton wave, which was just like an aborted
Stick to
B
cheeses,
plot
Stilton.
that that should have been. It wasn't great. The whole episode wasn't great. All right.
Puppets were all right.
Another episode which I did not enjoy was Violations. Violations. Yep. That was the.
Was that the mind rape?
That
one?
was the mind rape one.
Oh,
That was
a
the
creepy
memory aliens that the guy goes rapey.
Keiko remembers a teacup.
I considered that one, but I kind of felt like the point of it was to make you feel icky, and it delivered on icky.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was my favorite. It's not like on my top list, but I couldn't, in good faith, put it in my bottom because I was like, yeah, put it in my bottom because
That's where the Horgon is right
the
now.
Horgon, yeah. But because Jesus. I forgot about that.
I love you, Caitlin.
I love you, Ames. But because, I might not have, loved the episode, and I definitely didn't, it didn't make me feel comfortable and warm and happy, but I thought they did a good job, and, they knew what they were doing. So
you felt violated.
I did, and they named it that. It said it had exactly what it said it would have on the tin. Violations.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. The icky, I'm okay with the ickiness. I'm okay with the idea of the mind rape.
You're like, no, I'm cool with rape. It's just...
Yeah.
The acting was really bad.
As a device in storytelling, I'm okay with the concept of the mind rape that they do in the episode. I don't think it was executed particularly well.
Oh, fair enough.
It felt like, I don't know, I did not enjoy watching it.
Fair.
So that's why it's in my bottom.
Cool.
And the other one I would like to put right at my bottom to never think about again is Imaginary Fiend.
Yeah. That's a bad one.
That
Also
was
a bad
rough. With the little emotionless bitch girl and
Her bitch face.
Girl.
and her bitch face and the other bitch and
All these bitches.
all the bitches in this episode just really did not work for me. And then the resolution: grown-ups have to not. We lie and give our children rules because
Santa Claus.
they're dangerous and we don't want them to get hurt. And oh boy.
I don't know what that voice was, but please bring it back often.
That was my Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh, is that what that was?
That's right. All right.
It didn't sound enough like Sean Connery. I didn't recognize it.
All right, so that's my bottom three. Again, in no particular order. Those are just three that I felt stood below the pack.
My bottom three, from least shitty to most shitty. Disaster. Just an absolute mess of too many plots.
And
Too many
children.
plots.
Children in elevators.
Too many plots. I was torn for a while. It came, New Ground was on there for a bit, but it had to end up being hero worship.
Oh, thing is, I didn't mind hero
I
worship.
detested it.
Hero worship, I dropped from my bottom three pretty early.
Yeah, I was considering it, but it wasn't...
I didn't like the plot. I think, like Jake said during our episode, they'd already done the same idea better when Worf bonded with a kid.
New Ground.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, that
bonding.
other one. Sorry,
with the bonding, that's right. And, I didn't like the kid. I didn't like the plot. I didn't like any of it. It
didn't
was
like
just...
Troy gaslighting him or
Yeah.
thinking that it was a totally good idea to let him live out this fantasy.
Yeah, it sucked. And the worst for me this season, The Perfect Mate. That was some gross, fucked up
Perfect Mate
incel
was
fantasy shit.
close on for me, but
I just thought her character was stupid.
Yeah, no,
It was a dumb character.
Yeah, terrible
They
episode.
did it wrong.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna make a change right now because I had the Perfect Mate and I've been questioning this. I'm gonna take the Perfect Mate off and put Time Zero Part 1 on. If it were Time Zero Part 2, that one would be at the very, very bottom, but that's next season. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, I'm gonna say Time Zero Part 1 because there's no need for Samuel L. Clemens, and it's fanfic. It just felt like fanfic. There are ways to go back in time that are great.
And Star Trek rarely does
and
them.
then
They've
there's
done
this
it,
one.
and they've done it with City on the Edge of Forever.
Oh, yeah.
And Voyage Home. And that might be it.
Well, yeah, because Operation Assignment Earth or whatever is fucking garbage.
Yeah. Yeah,
The one where they accidentally kidnapped that pilot isn't too bad.
Tomorrow
it
was
gets
yesterday.
silly. It gets very silly if I remember.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they go on a kidnapping. they randomly kidnap some guards. It gets very silly.
It
but
does,
anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
They're very hit or miss when they go back in time, and it's usually hard miss. So yeah, I had to put that on there because I'm just upset. The other giant mistake that they make in season 5 is that they have so many children episodes.
There are! What the fuck?
Way too many children episodes, so I just had to include Imaginary Friend.
Okay.
Because it was stupid garbage with way too many children. And Alexander was back. Speaking of Alexander being back...
Alexander's a little bitch, too.
Though the very worst on my list was New Ground.
Oh, yeah, New Ground. Yeah.
But I'll say overall, as far as the bad ones go this season, compared with other seasons,
Yeah.
I look at all my rankings that I sort of keep for all of my episodes. The bottoms of this season are much higher than the bottoms of any other season.
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect Mate comes pretty close to bottom of other seasons for me.
Wow.
It's really deeply upsetting for me.
I'm not that. I'm just underwhelmed and disappointed. I'm not traumatized.
Well, I'm not traumatized, but I'm just to me, Perfect Mate is to, sex and gender what Code of Honor was to race.
Yeah. So, first I'm going to say that I have a honorable mention, because, for the longest time, it was really hard for me to get to less than 5 in both categories. So, my honorable mentions are Imaginary Friend, which was terrible, and The Perfect Mate. Because I didn't hate it as much as you guys did, but I hated it a good amount. And I might have left it in, except that I had to leave one particular one in for principle. So I think my least favorite was The Cost of Living, because Alexander. It's just too much Alexander.
I
That
thought that
one,
was an
though,
That's the
okay.
one with naked Loaxana?
I think that's probably about as good an episode as you could ever have with Alexander and
pretty much.
Loaxana.
Yeah, I know.
Which isn't
and
saying much.
No, she was good in it.
She was good.
It would have been
She
way
was
better.
legit.
She was good, but it was
It would have been way better if he wasn't in it.
But
Exactly.
there's also just so many weird, awkward shit that was
And the
happening,
B-plot was
and
dumb.
the being naked, and the B plot was dumb,
A
and
lot of
I
weird
don't
nudity in
know.
that episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know.
No,
But that one I flip-flopped on a lot between that one and Imaginary Friend.
The stupid B plot actually
Which
is
one are we counting as the B plot?
the ship turning to alien poop.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Like that.
I'm thinking the husband that was supposed to be Loaxana's new.
Oh,
I
yes,
guess
he's
new
kind of
toy.
the C
He's
plot.
part of the A plot, kind
That's
of.
true, because it's sort of like Loaxana's midlife crisis again.
Campio.
But yeah, I like that one actually, if not for the shitty B plot, might have made my top list.
Wow.
Wow.
But
You
the
did
B
with
plot,
Alexander though?
Shots
I
fired.
guess.
Alexander takes it down many rungs.
Not for me. I thought she was good enough.
We forgave him for being in the episode when Kalar died because Kalar was so great.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Kalar was great.
She was.
Alexander should have died instead of Kalar.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I would much rather watch Worf happily settle into married and getting laid a lot life than
Shame about our son. Whatever.
let's make some
make
new
more.
ones. And then I also chose New Ground because
Yep. More Alexander. Is your
yeah.
entire list just Alexander episodes?
Yep. No.
Oh no! I was hoping.
No, close. No, but then I left on my list out of fucking principle, I left reunification on. And I kind of call it...
One or two.
I kind of say both.
All right.
Because
it's a waste of Spock.
Well, that's it. It's a
And
waste of Spock, a waste of Sarek's death. Really, this is... So I just felt I didn't even feel like the episode was if it weren't for Spock and Sarek being there, it would have just been a kind of shitty episode. But then they wasted these two great characters on this fucking trash, and I was just out of principle, it has to stay on the bottom. So
Wow, there's not a ton of overlap kind of with us. There's a lot of us
New
brought
Ground.
unique ones to the
no,
table.
we agreed on reunification.
Well, yeah, there's some overlap, but not as much as in years past, seasons past.
No,
there's
you
been
didn't say. You said redemption.
Redemption.
Yeah, and it's
Oh.
unification.
Oh, that's what I meant then. I meant unification. Sorry.
But I respect that call. I think everyone, because Leonard Nimoy's there, those episodes have a special glow. But they're not written that.
No, they're
great,
not actually
and they're
good.
not they waste a lot.
People
of
give it a
stuff.
pass because they're
Like
like
you said.
Leonard Nimoy.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
Mark Leonard.
And there's more Sela bullshit. And
It's not well written.
You have found him, Captain Picard. Okay, I'm done.
So yeah,
All
that's
right.
my bottom.
But now,
Let's move on to good
what
stuff.
did we like?
All right.
There's a lot of good stuff this season.
So much good stuff.
So my memory at age 11, it appears that what I really liked was ships.
That's fair.
And-
Ships are great.
Ships are great, and to a much lesser degree, characters. So
Are you the same way today, or the other way around?
no. Now I'm the opposite. Now, actually, I like the characters. I like the adult writing. It's fun.
I still love the ships.
The ships are still great, but like
Chris is still 11 years
yeah.
old.
This is the closest thing we have in America kind of to a family sci-fi show where like you get something different of it when you're young and old. I like it a lot. But anyhow, there's a great ship in A Matter of Time, my number 3 pick.
Oh,
That's the one with Rasmussen, yeah?
Yeah, Matt Frewer. Matt Frewer generally does improve things, I find, in science fiction, and it has it's just a unusual ship. It's got it's like a form of a block, and you put your hand on it, and the thing disappears. And I also relate to it because I'm from the 31st century, and I was sent back here to correct a winter event as well. And to get that event, I need all your credit card numbers. Right there.
Sign me up.
But I like seeing the ship at a bunch of different angles, and you get to see a lot of that in Disaster, my number 2 choice. You got Picard climbing on the turbo lift. You got Picard being forced to work with kids. You got Troy and some decent writing and decent. She has a rank in that episode. You got Ensign Rowe.
She makes some bad decisions.
Yeah, I was
Make
gonna
some
say,
bad
but she still
decisions.
looks shitty. Like they give her power and she doesn't know what the fuck to do.
That's true. Anything that has Ensign Rowe is a win.
That's true. Ensign Rowe's pretty great.
Yeah.
We don't see a ton more of her,
No,
which is a shame.
she's pretty much done. She's a couple
It's
more
too bad. I
episodes.
really
She
like
should
Ensign Rowe.
she should have taken the gig on DS9.
That would have been awesome. I mean, although
I
Nana
like
Visitor
Hero.
is...
Yeah, as much as we like Nana Visitor,
Yeah.
it's a tough
Sorry
trade-off.
to interrupt.
No. And it's I from a script point of view, it's a good example, I think, of something that is busy and has a lot of different plots, but there's kind of just enough for each one. Like it's not like, man, they really sold that plot short where they have to open the cargo bay door thing. I thought that was good. But the my favorite is the next phase
Ooh, that's a good one. With Moreau.
with Moreau and Geordi doing something
That's good.
Really great.
Yeah, and
Hanging out with a girl and not
Hanging out with a
creeping on
girl.
her.
Not creeping on her, and it's just a good. They have a problem. They have to fix the problem. A guy gets thrown through a door, through the bulkhead. Sorry,
Into space. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And we get to see what would happen if they died. I feel like they fake out Data's death a number of times on this show. But Geordi and Ro, let's see what that's like.
Yeah.
And they get that scene where they reappear in their own funeral, which is, I mean, talking about Mark Twain.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's satisfying. I remember actually playing that when I used to play Star Trek with kids when I was 11, that kind of scenario. Okay, no one can see us.
Pretend we're in another phase.
Yeah, and it's a fun thing for kids. It's a well-written adventure yarn for adults. Kind of makes you think about what else might be going on in the spaces we inhabit. The next phase.
Cool.
All right.
Very cool.
Good choices, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so my top, again, in no particular order, I'm going to start Conundrum.
Oh, good one.
That's the amnesia one.
That's
right?
the amnesia one where Macduff.
Yep.
With no woman born.
Beware Macduff shows up, and
Oh yeah, I forgot that little twerp was in that episode.
yeah, so I don't know. I like that episode a lot. Again, it's a good Row episode because she bangs Riker.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just,
Troy.
I don't know. Again, I think that's another one for me where it's like, this is a cool thing to think about. And
Yeah.
it's,
It's a good story.
it's a good story.
And I love when Worf is like, "Well, clearly,
I'm in
Sure, I'm
charge.
the boss.
Yeah.
I got
I've
this
got
big
this
fucking
sash.
sash.
Yeah, I got the sash.
I'm like an old-timey mare. I must be the captain.
I've got a sash and I've got 2 dicks."
I have the
Pretty sure
most
that makes me
dicks.
the obvious leader.
Also in my top is Darmok.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that season.
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra fame. And again, I just think that one, it might be kind of predictable that one would show up in my list, but I like that episode a lot.
You like it,
I
goddammit.
do like it, so I'm including it. And speaking of also being predictable, My other top choice is The Inner Light.
Yay!
I'm kind of surprised you didn't say cause and effect. I know you like that one.
I do like Cause and Effect as well. I mean, that I had a really hard time getting it down to just 3.
Yeah, this is a tricky...
But in the end, I thought that those were... Like, Cause and Effect, I do like an awful lot. It would probably be 4.
Now you can't sing the song.
Wait, cause and effect. Which one was
That's
that
the
again?
one
I'm sorry.
with the time loop.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
With Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
Of course. What?
You said earlier you kept forgetting which one that one was. You really just... You have a weird block about that episode.
It's Kelsey Grammer. I can't...
So, before I actually give my proper top ones, I do want to say that I have to give special mention to the Outcast. Because, like, there's a lot of scenes that are cringy and dumb, but those 2 scenes that are good are so good that they almost pulled this episode into top for me. But the stuff that's bad is so goofy. But the stuff it did so well, and I just wanted to mention that. So, my number 3 top episode, Time's Arrow Part 1.
Wow.
Yikes.
I'm glad I put it on my bottom 3 now.
A fun romp. Data gets to talk about mortality. He steals a vest and a hat. And,
What's not to
it's
love,
a good
really?
time. Yeah, no, it's great. Fucking love Time's Arrow Part 1. And that's legitimate. That's not just a bit. Number 2, Conundrum. For pretty much all the reasons Jake said.
Mostly the
And-
banging.
Well, I said mostly. I kind of forgot about the banging, to be honest.
Me too, and it maybe would have been in my top 3 if I'd remembered it.
But yeah, great idea. Loved the execution. And number 1, Iborg.
Ooh. No inner light for you.
Inner Light was good, but I like those ones better.
Well, Chris is off the podcast.
Wow. He
Good luck
started
editing.
it. Yeah, never mind. You're back. Ames is off the podcast. Don't ever leave us.
No, in that case we just quit the podcast.
No,
But
Ames is the producer. She can't leave.
I'm the producer?
You effectively do what a
You're the
producer would do.
SM.
Like, I realized that one day. You basically do everything a producer would do.
What, make Caitlin show up to things?
Well, you do scheduling, you always, keep track of shit. Do we have that thing to share that you said you would share?
You're the
Oh,
only
yeah.
one that knows how many episodes we have in the bank at any given time and like how fucked we'll be if we miss a recording.
You have literally planned our scheduling through the end of Discovery Season 1.
Wow.
And
amazing.
Or at least
Spreadsheet.
our not our schedule, but our release dates.
Well, tentatively, because we might throw in...
Yeah, 10
specials.
forwards will happen.
Right.
10 forwards will happen.
But-
I've also got I assume we're going to do the shorts too, so they're in there.
She's added the shorts.
Have you seen all the shorts yet?
But that's
Not yet.
one show.
Oh.
That would be
That's
one
that's
episode,
one
yeah.
show.
Yeah, that's one show. It'll be fun. We'll get there in 5 fucking years.
If we're all alive, so... Yeah.
So anyway, producers tops.
All right, my tops.
Why do you look at me when you say that?
I also had to, like Jake, I was very close on adding cause and effect, but I did not. But I still like cause and effect. But instead of cause and effect, I opted to insert Iborg because it's very nice, and Hugh was
Fuck you.
Hugh was adorable. It's so
Just like
cute.
saying fuck you.
You'll all be assimilated, guys.
Aw, he really wants to assimilate them. No, when he talks with
Resistance
Locutus, it's so
isn't
cute. I
It
love
is, yeah. No, it's a really good episode.
It's a nice one. Also, and this is going to be predictable. The rest they're all going to be predictable at this point because Darmok is excellent, and of course we have our cats who are technically named Darmok and Jalad, and only the vet knows that and spells it wrong anyway.
I mean, I know. I just never remember which one is which.
Me either.
And the best of probably all of Star Trek, and I haven't seen all of Star Trek, but I'm fairly certain I'm right in saying this is the Inner Light.
I don't know, man. You haven't seen Move Along Home yet.
Oh, Ella Moraine, count to 4, Ella Moraine, then 3 more.
The worst episode of Deep Space Nine.
It's not the worst episode. It's not even that bad. It's okay. It's an alright.
It's in Jake's top 3.
Okay.
It's not my top thing, but it gets more
It's like
shit.
it's like Time Zero.
Let me rephrase it. It's the worst one I remember.
Yeah, there's one where Quark has to cross-dress and pretend to be a woman. That's the worst episode.
Okay, that's
Does he have to be
probably.
naked?
But I was just gonna say that if he was
No,
a woman,
because
would
I
he have
think
to be naked?
specifically I can't remember the whole setup to it, but
That's probably worse. Yeah.
it's bad. It's
Yikes.
real bad.
All right, Caitlin,
Okay.
round it off.
So again, honorable mention to Darmok because that was up there for me.
It's not in your top.
It isn't.
I'm surprised. You
I
love.
know. I really
Darmok.
did love Darmok, and also, God, what was the other one we were just talking about
Iborg?
a minute ago? No. It doesn't. It'll come to me.
Inner Light, Conundrum,
Not Conundrum. Like I said, that would have been in there if I'd remembered about the banging, but
Cause and Effect.
What's that about again? No, I literally already forget.
Time
Kelsey
zero.
Grammer. There we go. No, so there's not really an order to this. I did include The Outcast. I really loved that episode. It made me feel really heartbroken in all the right ways that I love. Yeah. I'm a deeply melancholy person. And Iborg, in some of the same ways, really, because it's like
Geordi loses his actual friend.
yeah,
Now he just has
that's
Data.
really
And then
sad.
he finds out Data's gonna die.
Man,
All of his friends are robots.
And dead.
Or holograms.
But yeah, when I was watching Iborg at first, I was like really mad at it, and I was really mad at Bev, and then when I started to like Hugh, I was really mad at the show, because I was like, I knew you were gonna do this to me. I'm an easily manipulated piece of clay. Yes, you have shaped me, I agree with you, it's terrible, but at the same time, I don't know, I just liked it. I liked it a lot.
That's good.
And I also feel like it really brought up a lot of good discussion and a lot of interesting thought about, I don't know, I liked it. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why I'm like defending myself so like...
Especially
a
when
good
two of us
episode.
have already put it
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
our
There
list.
are
Like,
two people
I'm
that
the
are-
asshole that put Time's Arrow on my top. Like,
Yeah,
you
but,
got nothing
we
to
knew you were
explain.
going to,
Glad you
though,
admit
right?
it, Chris.
Alright,
We
what
knew
else?
you
What
would.
else you got?
Predictably, Inner Light.
yeah.
Because it was really, really wonderful. And I loved it. And what I loved about Inner Light was, like, when it first starts out, you expect that it's gonna, and I meant to say this before, so I'm glad I get to say it now, is you expect it to be some kind of really, like, it's like an attack, it's, like, violent,
Like
it's
it's gonna be
negative, this is
nefarious
a
in some way,
malevolent
yeah.
force, for sure. But then... at some point, like, it became clear to me before the end that this was the time capsule thing that they wanted to do, which I'm sure it was meant to. So I was like, oh! And then when they brought the box, I'm like, yes, it's his flute! And it was, and I was like, yes! So, I don't know. I just really loved it. I thought it was really sweet. I thought that was a really nice way to, like you said, like, it's like you can see Tutankhamun's coffin and, like, oh, you can read about how, oh yeah, they mummified their cats too. Well, sucks to be a cat, I guess. But then... you still don't really know, like, how was it? Like, how did you go about your day? What was, what was the city like?
They
what
never
were the
tell
streets
you.
like?
They never tell you their toilet habits.
Sure.
I think they probably peed in poop, Ames.
Well, where?
There was no bathroom in that house. He did not poop.
He just held it for 80
In Egypt,
years.
it was the Nile.
No wonder he was so crabby. But yeah, I just liked it. And it was nice to see, like, a kinder, gentler, less, like...
Machine Gun Man.
Yeah.
Picard.
Picard.
Which I meant to mention that. The one time Riker has ever said Picard instead of Picard was in... oh no, it was in Time's Arrow, not Inner Light. Never mind.
I was like, why is he suddenly saying it like Q?
Yeah, it's weird.
I was like, what just happened? Oh my god, was Q Riker the whole time?
Gasp! There was a Q episode.
Would Time's Arrow have been acceptable if it had been Q that was making it happen?
He was Mark Twain the whole time.
If he were Mark Twain the whole time, yes.
But it's still... But
That's why her and Guinan don't get along.
It would have had
That
to
would
been
be
played by
amazing.
John Delancey, though.
I would
in
love
that
to
same-
see
in
John
that same-
Delancey.
In that case, yes. Let's make
As
this change.
Mark Twain.
Let's go back in time using that alien technobabble and make this happen.
All right, well, that's never going to happen, so I have a new
We
idea,
never even got
which
to
is
the
let's
part that I
get...
thought was stupid about, like, the phasing thing.
Yeah, let's do the same thing we did last week.
But it wasn't even the same, because it was, like, time phasing. Like, they were out of
Yeah.
sync
It was
in
weird.
time.
Those phases
Which doesn't
will do
make any
anything, won't
sense.
they?
And then,
Still
we
loved
could,
it.
and then we could only listen to Data narrating what was going on, which in theory works, but was just boring.
Yeah. Since,
Show don't tell, maybe,
Show don't
kinda.
tell.
since we keep
That
probably...
showing is expensive.
Since John Delancey, right,
Yeah.
will probably never actually play Mark Twain, I think what we have to do instead is get him to play
Clone.
Colonel Sanders for
Oh.
KFC, because that's the closest we're going to get to John Delancey as Mark Twain.
I
You don't
wanted to
know.
play the Colonel, but as if Q was playing the Colonel.
Actually, have you seen a picture of John Delancey lately? Hold on.
He looks a lot like Mark Twain.
Well, no,
if you
it's-
show us a picture of
Looks
Mark
a lot like
Twain,
the Colonel.
I'm going to come across the fucking...
Yeah, it's young, sexy Mark Twain, like our TV series.
It's John Delancey. Aren't you paying attention?
Wow.
Well,
I
this-
knew it, you son of a bitch.
Oh, man.
That was
You
fun.
ruined my joke before I could do it.
Again.
This has been another long season wrap, so jake
always
us out.
are.
I will jake us out. All right, so that's all we have to say about these episodes and about season 5 of Star Trek: The Next Thing. So next week on our show, The Star to Steer Her By, we'll be covering 2 episodes of Star Trek Season 6: The Next Generation.
What?
Those episodes are Realm of Fear. Fear. So scary.
like night terrors?
It's like Barkley.
Oh,
yay!
Broccoli. Fear of broccoli.
Fear of social interaction.
Lots of those.
Followed by Man of the People.
I don't know what the appropriate reaction there is.
I hear it's bad.
Oh my. So yeah, either of those episodes I don't think are going to be particularly exciting for us to talk about, but we're going to do it anyway.
For you. All for you, audience.
All for you, people. In the meantime, while we're struggling to watch these pieces of garbage, you can struggle to listen to our podcast at SoundCloud and iTunes and other places where podcasts are available. You can also follow us on the internet at Facebook search Star to Steer Her By on Facebook, or on Twitter, SSHB Podcast, and Tumblr, also SSHB Podcast.
Yeah, and on Tumblr, these tops and bottom threes are going to be up pretty soon, probably.
We'll have a published list of our tops and bottoms.
Which Ames writes, so expect her to give me a long
So you
stick.
can look at all our bottoms.
I'm polite. I'm only mean to you on the podcast.
In fact, you can even weigh in and tell us that our bottoms stink. And we encourage you to do that.
Well, my bottom doesn't stink. I washed today, Jake.
I didn't.
That's cool.
I washed in the
But I think, and so that's all, folks.
That's fine.
Thanks again for listening. We'll be here next week, right here on A Star to Steer Her By. My name is Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This is always Caitlin.
This has sometimes Carl.
Thank you,
Yay.
Carl.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Carl.
Carl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mark Twain.
Fucking Twain. Hang on a second. Listeners will appreciate that Jake is destroying this placemat even more.
Yeah, that's fine.
Every week he takes out a new rod from this placemat.
This one fell out on its own.
Oh, yeah, sure it did. Because
When we
I was
started
pulling on it and it
more.
came out on its own. It was so
116
bizarre.
episodes ago, it was a yard long. It's now 5 inches across.
That's right.